66.
Oh, we didn't get number 69 on the...
That was left.
That's okay.
That was totally okay.
All
There's a
right.
better intro than I could have come up with. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
That's a
Season
good year.
6, Episode 6, May the 6th. We'll try not to ask too
wow.
many questions about those numbers. But thank you for joining us here on the Dusty Auspex podcast. At the far end of the table, I've got the 5-season host of Pimp My Monolith on Necron Entertainment Network, Fabio. Right here in the middle, we've got ScottyB, one of the best commissioned painters in the city, and the internet calls me Producer Josh. Today we're going to be talking about Planes of War, just an update where we're at, maybe showing off a couple of prizes, what we're hyped for as tournament organizers.
Yeah, we got some updates coming up.
Then we're going to be talking very briefly about the new Kill Team Elites expansion. It's going to be up for pre-order this Saturday, what we're excited about, what we've got questions about. But most of the time today is going to be spent on painting. As part of our Preparing for War series, we're going to talk about how to get your guys ready for POW. In the past, we've talked about building your list. That was a couple of weeks ago. You can go back and watch that on Twitch or in the playlist on our YouTube channel. Today, now that you've got your list together and we assume you've bought your guys, it's about painting them. We're going to have tips for speed painting them. We're going to have tips for trying to win best in show, going that little extra mile. We're going to have tips for how to max out your scores in your Planes of War rubric. So even if you're not necessarily like super dedicated on the painting side of things, if you want to win POW, you're going to want to watch the whole show today. We're going to go over tools and maintenance, display boards, just a couple extra tips and tricks. But to start us off very quickly, just a little bit of housekeeping. Planes of War, we've got a contest running on our Twitch and our Discord now. If you're joining us on both of those channels, we are going to be shortly announcing the winner of a 25% off discount code. You can message us with that code when you buy your ticket, and we'll make sure the voucher is applied to your ticket. If you want to come to PAL and stay the night, which, let me tell you, is a time everyone hangs out, and you don't want to be stumbling around the next morning, you can use the hotel code Planes of War at our sponsor, Holiday Inn Airport Polo Park. You'll get 30% off of your room for the evening, which, let me tell you, is pretty substantial, and you'll help us out by driving some business to the hotel. And lastly, do not forget, you need to register on Best Coast Pairings for the event. Not only does this give you a preview of what's happening at the event, it lets us as TOs plan accordingly and make sure we've got everything ready for you on the day of. And it builds hype, right guys?
Please. People I know are coming in from out of town, and the constant question is how many players you got, stuff like that. So BCP is a way for them as well as us to quickly log in and see where the numbers are at. So if you're planning on coming, sign into BCP. It doesn't cost anything. You just got to click register, put in your name and email address, and you can fill out all the other information later. But at least it gives everyone, including us as TOs, an idea of how many people are coming, so we can make sure we have the right amount of tables, terrain, player packages, lanyards, etc., etc., etc. Yes,
Yeah, cool
everything.
stuff like the Objective Marker tokens we're giving away, which we'll be previewing on our Facebook sometime soon. Stay tuned, get hyped. Sorry, what? Am I not a sellout? Was I supposed to be more authentic?
No, those are on there. So yeah, actually, just what Josh said, we're not going to show off many of the prizes on the Dusty Auspex tonight. Make sure to get to the event page. Things have already been posted up there, and things will be continued to post up there. So that is where those announcements will be for now, up until maybe the last week before, where we might or might not show some stuff on Dusty Auspex.
Sounds good. So, what are you most excited for as TOs?
Getting it over with. Yeah, just kidding.
Yep.
Honestly, it is. It is.
This is our
June 3rd.
WrestleMania. Get us
June
excited.
3rd. June 3rd is going to be an exciting day for us. No, honestly, the week before is usually pretty hectic.
Non-stop running around, on the road, non-stop. Yep.
So as far as excitement, the morning of, as hectic as it is, it's exciting to see all the players come out and really excited to get going.
I think the best part is actually when everyone breaks for the first game, when the pairings come up, everyone goes to their first game.
Yeah,
and we just can
sit back and be like, finally.
Yeah, and that's probably the best part of running the Planes of War event is that moment.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the rest of the
day
days runs itself.
That's when my job starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then it turns to hell for you. But.
Yeah. But then I'm excited because we put together some very exciting stuff for our stream for this Planes of War.
Absolutely, we got new features.
We've got new features. We've got Thurston hosting our pre and post games. We'll have Logan as our stream judge and commentating at the pre and post games. We are going to have instant replays available for the players at the event. So if you're a player at the event, we will be announcing a system by which you can sort of review video feedback. If you're watching on Twitch, or if you're at the event and you just want to put us up on Twitch on your phone to boost those numbers, we're going to have some unique twists in our overlay. If you saw us test out some of these at the Wheat City Open, we're going to have objectives in the overlay that we can change to show who's controlling what when. We're going to have some of the best audio stuff we've ever seen, some of the best video quality we've ever seen. I'm excited.
One of the best shows I've seen streamed from live from a tournament. It's incredible.
I am excited to put out some of the best Warhammer streams on the internet.
Yep.
Come and be in them. Tickets available at 40belowgaming.com.
We'll be streaming every game at the event. I believe day 1 is just random games, and day 2 is top table.
Yep.
I believe that's what we were saying.
As always.
Yep.
For our ITC-focused events, it's day 1 is what we think is representative of the event, and then day 2 of our ITC-focused events is always top tables, so you will get to see some of the tightest Warhammer gameplay available that weekend. So, moving on. And a quick preview. Part 3 of Preparing for War is next week. We are going to have some of the Salt Miners as guests on the show. John Kilcullen and Matt Jasinski will be joining us to talk about how to practice and how to get the most out of ITC and understanding ITC and ITC secondaries. It's a big part of Planes of War. So if you're a little intimidated by this whole ITC thing, we're going to break that down for you next week, and it's going to be a good time. So, topic 2 today.
Topic 2.
And Scott, you should have played me in Kill Team, because this would have been great.
Oh boy.
You could have said things.
I got my game. I got my game in last Friday. Let me tell you, it was going great until it stopped going great. So
that is entirely fair. So
I was up for 4 turns, and then I rolled too many 6s at a time where I didn't want to roll 6s. And
how did that game go for you?
it was good. I kind of misread the mission regarding the you tend to spend a CP and you detonate the objectives.
Okay.
So I was thinking like, oh, it's probably more advantageous to keep them active on the table, but it was actually not, because technically after turn 3, blowing them gives you more points than holding them would be for the rest of the game. So I kind of misplayed that. And then, sure enough, I had one guy in the middle waiting for the last objective to come down, because of course it came down on the last turn.
Oh, turn 4?
Yeah, on turn 4. And then of course that turn I lose my guy in the middle. He has my opponent has a guy in the middle, and then he had some CP left, so he was blowing up objectives. Plus he got that last one. Plus I ran away on that turn, so I was just like 6s in the worst times, and it was just no bueno. But it's good. I was killing them off the board, so I was like, okay, I've got more objectives. In theory, I should have more points by the end. And then all of a sudden, just 1 bad dice roll turned into 2 bad dice rolls, turned into 3 bad dice rolls, and then I was done. I was like, cool.
I was so happy with how how that mission turned out, because like when that middle objective comes down and starts generating 3 VP a turn changes whether it's worth it to sit on the objectives or blow them up. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback about that mission. I'm super excited for it.
Wish I would have read it properly, but them's
that sounds
them's
very
the breaks.
familiar.
Them's the breaks.
I can't fix that. But more exciting things. We've got the contents table up for Kill Team Elite on the stream for you right now. It's broken up turn 2 parts so that it's a little bit legible.
Thousand Terminators.
Some
Be afraid.
factions.
Yep.
As we go through this. So I'm just going to leave this up here. Make sure if you've got any questions about Elite, if you're excited for Elite, let me know. Very quickly, Professor Grant asks in the chat, is next year for Planes of War going to be a 3-day, 8-game event? I plan on living afterwards.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to go past 6 games unless our numbers magically get to a point where that kind of thing is in demand and we have a 3rd day with a top 8.
How many hundreds of players would we need for that?
Yeah, exactly. So we're a little ways from that still. We need our community to grow substantially.
Let Reese and Frankie deal with it.
We've been. Kill Team Elites. There's a few exciting things about this, but first things first, perhaps the most impactful, is the fact that Kill Team is now going to have chapter tactics.
Yeah.
Various of the
That's crazy.
sub-factions are going to have their own special rules, just like they do in 40k. They haven't to date. If you don't play Kill Team, you're like the Tau overwatching on a 5-up. Those sub-faction type things haven't existed in Kill Team to date. Some of them filtered through in the Commanders expansion because some Commanders could use a 1 CP tactic to turn them on in a 6-inch aura. But this is the first time that you're going to be able to play like Blood Angels as Blood Angels. You're going to be able to play Speed Freaks as Speed Freaks. We can see in the contents that Space Marines, Astra Militarum, Adeptus Mechanicus, Heretic Astartes, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Harlequins, Dynastic Codes is, I assume, Necrons, right? Necrons.
Dynasty. Oh, Dynastic Code. Wow.
Yeah. Necrons,
they changed
Orcs,
that.
Tau, Tyranids, and Genestealer cults are going to get their sub-faction tactics.
Wow.
This is going to change things up, I think. It's only going to be accessible to people who buy the thing, but the fact that I might be able to get, like, Kraken, some of their speed-based stuff in Kill Team is exciting to me.
I'll just change things up a bit, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it might help them rebalance some of the issues they had in the past. I keep hearing that Eldar were very low and the Orcs were kind of like lower on the totem pole, so to speak. Before Elites and before Commander, of course.
Yeah, that's been interesting because in Core Kill Team, Orcs and Eldar were definitely like not supported by the format. A lot of the strength in 40k came from some of the 40k sized things. But they sort of addressed that in Commanders with some of the new units you could get access to with psychic powers and Orcs doing things. They addressed that with in Arena because all of a sudden now Orcs, all of their mobs of dudes have a purpose, and that's opening and closing doors and blocking off lines of sight and firing lines. And now we see that the sub-faction tactics are going to be present, which could do another thing for Orcs and Eldar. I'm excited because I think this is going to have a little bit more uptake within Kill Team than certainly Commanders and probably even Arena, because especially Space Marines players have been wanting to play their Blood Angels like Blood Angels,
course.
Space Wolves like Space Wolves, their Fists like Fists for a very long time. On-call GM in the chat is excited about Death Guard Termies.
nobody else is. Next, move along.
Hey, where's your demon army, buddy? Oh, wait.
Like, I think it's gonna do change things in a big way. Originally, I was kind of cool on it because it was like I just like the purity of Core Kill Team, but this is gonna help a lot, I think.
Well, it'll make me buy a box of 1,000 Suns Terminators, so...
Right? Professor Grant says bugs didn't get Arthropes. Yeah, no, we're gonna go through like some of the factions and the ones we're excited about right now and what we play. I'm gonna start it off with Fabio because he's furthest away from me. 1,000 Suns. You're getting Greater Possessed. You're getting the Master of Executions. You're getting the Dark Apostle, the Master of Possessions, Sorcerer and Terminator armor, Chaos Lord and Terminator armor, Khorne Berserker, Possessed, and a regular Terminator. Are you stoked for your Dusty Boys?
I don't know how stoked or psyched I am. I don't know how much I will use them. I mean, I imagine, like, I don't know. You'll have to, I assume the only way you can play Elites is similar to how you can play with the Commanders, and you'll have to increase your points. So it'll be interesting to see, like, if one of these guys costs, 50% of my additional 100 points, well, I could get almost 3 more Rubric Marines for that. So, like, while it's really interesting, I guess we'll see how the dynamic plays out. I mean, the aura is the being able to actually have 1,000 Suns special abilities. I mean, I assume they're going to get another +1 to their invul save, so they'll actually effectively always have a 4-up invul, which is bonkers good. So stuff like that. Like, if that's something that I have to take an elite in order to trigger, that would definitely be a reason for me to take a 50-point upgrade model or whatever it is. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously, worst case scenario, it gives me an excuse to pay to 5 Terminators.
Right.
Or customize a few guys. Like,
Hey, they're nice models.
Exactly. They're really nice models,
So,
and that was
we got
why
to
I
lose.
wanted to play them, because it was just something I never wanted to field. But with this, it allows me to take a box and do it. So now, buying another single box and painting them up over the next few weeks or a month and, if I happen to splash a guy or two in once in a while, I think it's good. And the way GW is doing it is great, not only for Kill Team but to get people into 40K, right? Because you've got you first pick up a troop squad or a couple of troop squads, and then you get a commander, so you're usually getting some form of HQ. And look, now you've got a box of elites.
That's
so
a box of heavy
you're
supports.
almost. And then if you pick up a start collecting box for another $100, which is a great deal on your start collecting, you pretty much have a 1,500 point army.
Next thing you know, here it is, 9th edition Warhammer 40K.
Don't scare me like that. I just bought it. No.
So yeah, it's a great. The whole thing is just the way Jim is playing it out and allowing people to get their feet wet in 40K is great. I've been saying that I hope the Age of Sigmar equivalent does the same thing, because I think there's a lot of value in it. If this is a stepping stone and a test subject for that, I think it's going great. I think it's playing out well. So yeah, back to the original question though, I'm not overly excited about elites. I kind of like you. I'm really enjoying the basic Kill Team game still. I still really enjoy that. I haven't played a lot of games, but the games I do play, I still really enjoy. So I don't really care for too much change yet. But for those that play it more and that are more versed in it and want those changes in the next step and challenge, I think it's great.
Yeah,
it's coming out at a good pace too. It doesn't really it's not like every week or every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's what has it been since the last release?
We're coming
3
up
months?
on
Arena
Arena
was the last
since
one.
the last release. Arena, yeah, that was in January.
And then the Commanders were when before that?
Quite a few months before that, I think.
October, November.
Oh, you're talking about
September.
6 months?
Yeah,
Every 3 months.
every 3 months.
Okay,
And
so every 3 months you're getting a new release. So I think that's a good amount of time. And I mean, next is there was a meme today. It was someone said when this came out, they're like, I'm really excited for the next one, which is
Kill Team, Lord of War.
Yeah, Kill Team Lord of War or something. Which I thought was kind of funny, but
Night Titan Kill Team.
yeah.
the only thing that I see
3
that a lot,
models.
what's making this different from 40K now, and I will tell you what's making it different for 40K. It's the 100 point or 200 point cap on units, because above that, then you can start fitting in just monstrous units and things that are really, really too big for the format. But if you cap things at 200 and you tell people you have to go kill things, you have to go get objectives, you need bodies for this, especially in Arena, the competitive format, that forces things to still feel like Kill Team. So I think it's going to feel like Kill Team for a long, long time. Terminators in particular, if I can talk about that a little bit, I'm interested sort of in how it affects the environment and the meta. If you've played against me in Kill Team, which means if you're in Winnipeg and you play Kill Team, you probably played against me, and usually field a list of 4 really big multi-wound monsters, 3
Lictors?
3 warriors, a lictor, and I usually have a cheeky termagant because people forget about the termagant and when they're faced with the other 4 guys. So one of the advantages, cheeky termagant. One of the advantages of that list is because most of the models in Kill Team right now have 1 wound. They're your infantry guys that now have new purpose because of Kill Team. The Kill Team, the game makes them last longer because it adds long-range penalties, flesh wounds, and easier cover to make sure that the one time you do get a shot off on a guy who's had 1 wound the whole game, it counts. I'm used to being the bulkier faction, running the bulkier guys with 3 and 4 wounds and just being able to tank it. But all of a sudden, I'm not going to be as alone in that anymore in Elites games, because more people are going to be fielding Terminators. More people are going to be fielding Ogren and Bolgren from Astra Militarum.
Mega Knobs.
More people are going to be fielding Knobs and Mega Knobs for the Orcs. Crisis battle suits are going to battle suits are going to show
Well, you're
up
not
every
wrong.
town. Yeah.
Not too far off.
So that interests me environmentally. I don't know what on my list is still going to be good.
Have you seen anything about
And the
the Terminators?
Custodes?
Yeah, that's interesting to me.
I was just going to say that's going to change things up a bit.
So I saw things one.
You
Shield
can have
Captain?
3 guys in your whole 200 point army.
Well, they were joking about that on the Warhammer Instagram. I caught this a month ago. Someone asked them, Custodes and Elites, because it was one of their hype things that they've done, you're only going to be fielding 2 guys. Or no, someone asked them, are you only going to be fielding 2 guys? And the response from the Warhammer official account was, you're only going to be fielding 2 guys. Which, has implications in Kill Team because you're less likely to break, but it's that much more difficult for you to control objectives or
just to do
put
anything.
firepower on enemy units to reduce
especially
their
in a game
ability.
that's so random. You get a few guys to shoot every turn, and just on the luck you get no 4, 5s, and 6s. You know what I mean? Like you're never killing things.
Yeah.
It takes so much longer to do anything.
You're only hitting on 5s most of the time as it is.
It'd be interesting to see, like, the one thing I was actually just thinking about while you're talking about multi-wound models and everything, it's, my Rubric Marines are 1 wound each, but if you're getting shot with things that only do 1 damage, they get a 2+ save. They go down to 2+. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen for Terminators, because, like, if they started at 2+, do they go to a 1+? Or something like, and then, you know what I mean? So they just get that extra survivability. Obviously, you can never have a 1+, but it's just for the redundancy.
Probably going to adapt the rule in
or
some
something.
Like,
I was just kind of thinking about that, and I wonder what they're going to do. And
if I had to guess, they probably double up on transhuman physiology. You ignore the penalties from more flesh wounds. That's my flat out guess. The thing that interests me about Terminators, especially the Custodes ones, is they have the ability from
Homer, you suck.
Boom, they teleport in. That is so strong and like interesting in Kill Team. I don't know if they're still gonna be able to like deep strike me in Kill Team. Is that gonna be a thing? I don't even know.
so many questions.
On-call GM says sad for Daemons and Kill Team. Honestly, I kinda get that a little bit because you guys, from what I can tell, are not being fed a lot.
They can play in Age of Sigmar and 40k with the same models. They've been fed enough.
That's fine. You go and tell on-call.
They're not hungry.
On-call GM, go play some Sigmar.
Get good, son.
Custodes we've talked about. Now they exist. You can get Shield Captain probably as a commander option because most kill teams are getting new commander options as well as elites model choices. Slime Arbo and Astra Militarum, I'm interested to find out what he's about because I haven't faced
That's
it
pretty cool.
in 40k. That is
I'm
cool.
very
I
into
like that. Like the Gene Stealer cults are getting all the new guys, the Sanctus, Kellimorph, Nexus, Biophagus, Locus, and Clamavus. My favorite Tyranids, I don't know what to think. Because Death Leaper is probably going to be a commander option. That's cool. He's been strong for me. Just like Lictors themselves are so strong in Kill Team that having a special character Lictor is going to be fascinating. But we got Tyrant Guard, Hive Guard, and Ravener, which were not my picks. The way I was looking at this, historically they've stuck very strongly to things with the infantry keyword in Kill Team. Your starting Kill Team stuff in the core rules were some
like a
troops
Lance Speeder.
and some fast attacks with the infantry keyword, like a Lance Reader.
Actually, like a Space Marine bike, I think, has infantry keyword.
I think they do actually.
That still fits the theme.
Sorry, that's fast
right?
attack.
You
Kill
go
Team
to,
fast attack.
When they added the Commander's expansion, it's like they went
Sounds
through
like
each
fun.
guy's, their HQ units. Which ones have the infantry keyword? Let's toss those in. So I was expecting stuff with the like elites units with the infantry keyword to be dropped in, which for Tyranids includes Zoanthropes and Venomthropes. Those would have been, I think, fascinating in this environment, but they didn't.
You don't have
do
Psychers
that.
right now, Nids?
Core Kill Team Tyranids do not have Psychers. With Commanders, the Brood Lord shows up and he's a Psyker.
So that's interesting. It would have been, I think it would have been kind of neat to see this. Yeah, like the Zonethrop, why not?
Yep.
But
I especially didn't expect the Tyrant Guard to show up because their big thing is protecting Hive Tyrants who don't exist in Kill Team, and if they do, God help us
I wonder if
all.
they're just big meat shields and they're like your sand on objectives and suck up 1,000,000 wounds.
I mean, I'm down. I am more
What else
than
are they
down.
gonna do?
Tyranids have been remarkably flexible in Kill Team with now options like that to date.
Don't they get guns?
Tire Guard? No, I don't think so.
In
yeah,
in
Wait,
40K, do
don't
they?
they get whips?
they have the Lash Whip and Bone
they
Sword
have
option.
the
They've
Lash
got like
Yeah.
a few others, but I haven't seen them with guns. Like the Hive Guards.
The Hive
have
Guards, they're the
guns.
guns that shoot out line of sight, which would be interesting to see in Kill Team, because I can't imagine that being
Kill
very
Team heavy
balanced.
support.
We'll see.
Yep, Kill Team heavy support right there.
Yeah, if you have any Kill Team questions, ask us in the chat. Want to see our Hive Guard have guns? Yes.
Hive Guard have guns.
Yes,
Hive
they
Guard
do.
yeah.
I'm actually going to have to pick up some Hive Guard
I've been
models.
telling you to
which have
pick up
been
Hive
impossible
Guard
to
since
find.
you started this game. You never listened to me.
Don't listen to him. Fight it.
I'm not actually sorry.
I know you're not. Because you play
All
Tau,
right.
and that's even worse. But moving
No, I
forward.
just sold a bunch of my Tau. I'm just keeping Kill Team size to Tau Tower.
Okay.
I picked up Custodes. I sold
We
out
got
like everyone
chirps.
else.
We got chirps.
I see.
Yeah.
How's that coming? By
Shield
the way?
Captains on bikes.
I've picked up almost everything that I want. Now it's just assembling it. I have sort of like 18 different foot guys assembled between like 6 Custodian Guard, 5 Wardens of Exilus Praetor, and 6 Alaris Custodians and Terminators. I picked up a Land Raider because if you're an
coming.
Imperium player, you
Slowly.
have to order a Land
Slowly
Raider.
but surely.
You have to have a Land Raider. I've got like boxes of jet bikes. I've got Telemons that have just showed up, but now I have to build them, which is a problem when you spend your time streaming for people who theoretically appreciate you but don't actually watch your streams.
Yikes. We should tag all those people.
Yeah. So
We should shout at them.
I
Right?
tried tagging Scott, but he's already here.
moving forward.
Moving forward, if you're excited about Kill Team Elites, let us know in the chat. We'll answer more of your questions, but we're going to move ahead. Oh yeah, there's one thing I was going to mention to you. Aspect Warriors.
Yeah,
Some
I
of
was
the
looking at
Aspect
that.
Warriors are showing up in Kill Team Elites.
Those fun ones.
Oh, really? Because Striping the Scorpion
What?
and Howling Banshee are showing up.
There's
Are
Wraith Blades, man.
you waiting for, like, what are you waiting for?
Kill Team Fast Attack. I want to see the swooping hawks.
Yeah, okay, alright.
Kill Team Forge World. Kill Team Forge World.
Don't
And the
tempt
game-
them, Fabio.
Then all the rules don't make sense and become too expensive to play.
They don't get updated. They don't
no.
get fact. They're just there. And that.
Oh my god. Experimental rules for life.
Yeah.
Professor Grant's excited for Death Leaper. I am too. Bizarre 40k Beast, our friend in Kelowna appreciates me. I appreciate you too. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to see you at Plains of War. Speaking of which, we're halfway into the show, which means it's time for a quick shout out to a sponsor.
Sponsors. We love
Scott,
sponsors.
Pick one from the bottom of this sheet and tell us
Eeny,
about it.
meeny, miny, mo, catch a sponsor by the toe. When he
Can we do
hollers,
that?
let 'em
Is that how you
go.
get sponsors?
I don't know, maybe. Well,
Alright.
let's take a look at Northern Lights Terrain. This is a terrain company that's been hosted locally. From Byron is the. Sorry, what are you? You're stealing my papers?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Because you wrote the future parts of this show
Oh,
on
yeah,
this
yeah,
one, so
yeah.
I'm going to
So-
take that one. You have that
Yeah,
one.
Northern Lights Terrain. It's a local guy, Byron. He runs a shop where they do laser cut terrain, MDF terrain. They specialize in sci-fi and fantasy styles. If you have ideas, you can even get them to cut some stuff out for you. A lot of our prizes over the last couple of years come from them as well. So
Brain does. Byron just basically is a huge geek, and he's played a lot of different games. He's tried out a lot of different systems, and so the beauty of being able to talk to him and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this," or "I kind of want to do something like this." He's one of those guys that won't just do what you want. He will give you feedback and try and get you the best possible product to maximize your enjoyment out of the game you're looking to, whether to enhance, whether it be like card holders or organizational things for board games or whatever it is. And it's just a great, honestly, it's just a great experience.
Yeah, support local.
when it comes
That
to
too.
when it
Gotta
comes
pay
to
shipping.
stuff.
We featured Northern Lights Terrain on many of our streams on twitch.tv/40below gaming. They are fantastic. Highly recommend you check out from Northern Lights Terrain. So, we'll be doing probably Northern Lights Terrain for our feature table at Plains of War, which is a beautiful, awkward segue to our main topic today. Painting for Plains
yeah,
of
shoehorn
War.
that in. Shoehorn it right in there, bud.
Sir, if you
Just
want
force
the
it.
talent, you should
No
pay
lube,
for
just
it.
force it.
All right. So, if you've been watching us so far, you know that we are on our Preparing for War series. Part 1 of Preparing for War aired a couple of weeks ago. It's about putting your list together for Plains of War for an ITC format for what you might expect. Now, this is part 2. You've got your list together. You know what you're going to play. You need to paint it up, and you need to paint it up quick so that you can practice. That's what we're here to talk about today. First things first, we're going to go over the painting rubric for Plains of War, because that will inform everything else that we talk about and all the tips that our guest painter Scott here is going to tell you. So I'm going to click the button.
Yeah, let's take a look
click
at
the
that.
button. Painting rubric for Plains of War is up on the screen now. Professor Grant says, "Spore Minds and Kill Team."
I saw that too. I was
wish.
trying to laugh. I was like, "Oh man,
Buddy, I wish. Okay.
yo!"
So, you can see now,
Holy
this
moly.
is the summary of the painting rubric we're going to have at Plains of War. Bizarre 40KP says, "What happens when your orcs get nerfed and all of your plans go out the window?" Orcs don't have plans.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
just go faster.
Even
Just
faster?
wait. If they get
For
nerfed,
everyone?
just wait till your next October and you'll get updates.
All right.
something
so,
like that.
Plains of War,
Here we
painting
go.
rubric. The painting will be judged by the Manitoba Model Soldier Society at the event.
Yeah.
Throughout the event. It's not just Saturday at lunch they're going to go through and do a bunch of check marks. They're going to be there throughout the event. So make sure when you're at the event, if you're not actively playing a game, that you're in your parking lot spot. Can you guys tell us a little bit about the parking lot system that'll be present at Plains
Go
of
for it,
War?
Fab.
They're basically numbered spots that you will be given, and that is where your army will be placed and set up, as well as you can store all your stuff under the table in that spot throughout the event. So they're going to be round tables. They're going to be split into 4s, and they'll be in the center of the room. So basically, how whenever you come back to a table or you go for lunch and you get back early and you want to get to your table and there's another army sitting on the side of the table and you can't do anything, you have to wait for them because you don't want to touch other people's models, or you're going to knock them over, and all that shit happens.
And we've seen all that happen.
We've seen it all happen. We've been there. We've been the players. We've been the TOs. We've watched it. We've experienced it. It
sucks.
Shitty. So what we've done is we've provided additional tables where you can leave your stuff and know that it won't be touched, it won't be bumped, as long as you make sure you obviously put it in the center of your spot.
Yeah, it's like your own personal locker without a lock.
Yeah, and it allows not only for your stuff to be in a safe spot, so if you come back late from lunch or something like that, and you don't have other people at your table at the same table, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I just moved your stuff over there somewhere. Good luck."
And I dropped your hive tyrant in the
Yeah.
process. Sorry.
Don't give me PTSD like that.
But yeah, so that's kind of what they are, and it also
Sorry, I dropped
allows
his spore mine.
it allows our judges to get to all the paint judging that want to be done, because they're all in one spot. They don't have to try and say, "Oh, I missed this one. I gotta go find it amongst
Billy's
40
army?
different tables."
Well, it's a huge room. Like, where's
Yeah.
Johnny's army? I don't know.
Yeah, so just
now they
plus
find it at
plus
your
it's all
parking spot.
numbered, so no one knows whose army is whose.
By name.
By name. They're just ranking them. They're giving them points based on the number.
Army number 35 gets this score. Number
Yeah.
36. Then us as TOs take that number back. Say, "Oh look, 35 was Billy. Good job, Billy." And then
Billy's
moving
killing it
forward.
this year.
Yep.
Nice. All right. So, as we can see, we've got 21 paints for painting, 21 points for painting, 21 points for modeling, 20 points for modeling, and 21 points for detailing. Running down these categories.
Actually,
Now, yeah.
modeling's changing.
We're changing this.
modeling's
So
changing.
yeah, so
Announcements
This
today.
is slightly
this
out
is
of
slightly
date.
outdated because we just had a meeting with the Manitoba Model Soldier Society,
MS squared.
MS squared. Yeah, and
Heard it here
and
first.
modeling is going to be reduced to 3 in each category: 3,
15.
6, 9, 12. Yeah, 15. And the reason for that is basically you have bronze, silver, and gold in each category to keep it
Everything's
simple.
out of 3. 1, 2,
Everything's out
3,
of 3.
bronze, silver, gold, and it makes sense to keep everything in line.
So there'll be obviously be less points for modeling, but what we found over the last few years of doing this, the modeling section is a section that
Very few people get points. in.
It's something that's very unique, right? Some people really like to model, whereas most don't. They enjoy painting their models. They enjoy putting detail on those models, but
They don't like changing them.
don't like changing them. They buy those models because they like what they look like.
No, most of these
And
GW
most of them,
sculpts are fantastic.
exactly. Most of them are great sculpts, so you don't really need to do more. So that's kind of where they're at. And so while we originally only did it because it was suggested that we should keep it to the gold, silver, bronze way of ranking, or 1.2, 0.3 points, it just makes more sense to have less points in that category, as it's not something that's as emphasized.
Prominent.
Like the hobby aspect is more about the building and painting of the model as is. And so think of the modeling section as more like bonus points, right? Like if you want to dabble into something out of normal territory,
You're still going
You're
to
gonna
get
get some
a
extra
bunch
points
of
out of
extra
it.
points
Yeah,
over
you're-
the average person,
Yes.
just not as many.
yeah.
Professor Grant says 2020 PAL, every model will have conversions. That would be lovely.
2018
Storm
Scott,
Tigers,
that's what I
welcome
had
to
in
chat.
my
That's
room.
me. Yeah, I hear you. I
Storm
hit,
Tigers.
I hit, table ready, and then I don't hit anything else unless I pay for the commissions, because I'm the kind of person who throws money at his problems.
Can
instead of
confirm.
time.
So yeah,
Can
like,
confirm.
but yeah, so
Alright.
painting wise, like I think it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. Like basically the way we do it is bronze is you have some of it, you've given an attempt at it. Everyone should get the 3 color minimum because
Yes,
that
that's
is the
been
minimum.
legal.
I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
we've got the 3 check marks for a 3 color minimum.
Literally
That's
one
not just
color.
like color. Is it?
No, absolutely it is.
Okay, and
3
not like-
colors minimum. Yes, it is.
Oh,
So if
That's what
I'm
I've. Points are awarded.
points rewarded for the variety and use of color presented to the army. 3 color minimum would get you 1 point, and then if you use like lots of colors or accurately use lots of colors, not just painting rainbows over one, that's where you go to 2 and to 3.
okay.
Okay, fine.
Questions,
So
we've got
there's
information
still a-
happening
yeah,
here.
yeah.
in the
okay,
chat.
so that's
Yeah,
good.
tell
That-
us about 3 colors swim and then washing and shading.
pretty much what it says.
Attempting it, like, it's basically, are you attempting it, or is it something that is done on one model? If it's on one or two models and it's done like okay, you're probably gonna get one. If it's on a good chunk of the models and it's okay, like you've tried it and it's kind of working, you're kind of getting the right contrast in your models, you're probably gonna get two. If it's consistent throughout, if it's actually used as an effect on all your models, then you're gonna get your 3 points.
And that's just like your depth, your shadows, bringing all that stuff out. And usually this is one of the easier things to get maximum points on. Like, go out, buy 2 pots of GW wash and throw it on everything.
Yeah. Pretty much after you're hitting your base coat.
Yeah.
If you apply a wash and then build up
depth.
from that wash, you've got your depth now. You've got a second tone.
So most players almost have no reason not to get 2 points on this, because this is one of those points where you can easily just get these out with a minimum effort. Like, washing doesn't take much skill in many cases. Like, it's easy to just go.
Same with highlighting.
Yeah.
Highlighting is another one that's kind of in the same boat. It's a very simple technique.
Just picking out the edges.
Yeah. Going with the side of your brush and just picking on any raised edge and just
the light's hitting.
Yeah. Blending is a little trickier. We've seen some actually really nice blending over the years, and it's getting better. Honestly, that's one thing that the community here has always had painting has always been a focal point. We've never had too many events that it's just been primarily, just battle points. So the painting and blending specifically has been something that has gotten a lot better. Which is I mean, something I can't even really do. So it's good when you're going to look around at armies and you see a lot of armies, getting into that blending territory. Maybe not necessarily intending to, but just kind of like, mixing your paints and having, people watering their paints a bit more so they last a little longer. So when you apply that second color, it made,
or airbrushing it. That's the easiest way to get it.
And there's been a lot of people that are using airbrush.
Yeah.
Then we go, then you're going into freehand. You're going into special effects.
Yeah, what are some examples of special effects that we'll be
object source lighting? That's like
what
special
does that
effects.
mean?
Okay, so special effects could just be anything that's kind of like a crazy thing. And one of the most common things that comes to mind is object source lighting, where someone might have like a gem on their chest and they make it look like it's glowing, so you see the glow across the rest of the
So over if you have a Space Marines blue armor
or their visors,
and you have a crest of some sort that's glowing in front of that's green, over the blue you'll see little tints of green in areas where they're raised, right? So you see it on that edges and stuff, and it's just like stuff like that, or weapons, power swords and stuff like that.
Giving
the coils.
Exactly,
Yes.
giving just that little bit of glow effect.
Examples of glowing
Stuff
effects.
like that. Freehand, the way I think about freehand is basically whenever you need to use the tip of your brush to run and have to run it against a flat surface, like you're not edge highlighting, essentially, right? You're not guided. You're not guided by an edge. You're basically having to paint something on a model. I find that is more your freehand kind of style of paint.
Yeah, and this is a category where most players get zeros.
Yeah,
I'd say at least 75% of the event has a 0 for freehand painting. That's not because they're bad at it; it's because they just didn't attempt it.
And freehand, there's so many varieties of freehand. And I think that's something that people think like freehand has to be like we talked about
like
earlier,
a mural or something. No,
really
you
complex.
just take an orc truck and put a smiley face on every door on all your trucks. There's a point.
It's technically not wrong by orc standards.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, right? Like,
in fact, for orc smiley face, you might get 3 points because that'd be really high quality for an orc. But the point I'm getting at is it doesn't have to be incredible. It just has to be present. And then the better it gets, if you want to start painting murals on Land Raiders, you're probably gonna get those 3 points.
like if you do a chaos gold like the star or something like that.
Just something.
Things like that. You
that's
get
another
creative
2
with. That's
points.
kind of the beauty of it too, right? There's no wrong way to do it. Now that's where the gold, silver, bronze comes in. The bronze is obviously something that's you've attempted.
It's there. You're trying.
It's there. Silver could even be you're trying it a lot,
or it's done very well.
and then or is it getting the quality becomes better, or if you if you're going mural status, you're probably going to get your 3 points there. But that's a lot of work, and I mean, if we're not, if you're in a crunch to get an army pumped out for an event,
stick to smiley faces.
Try and stick to smiley faces,
Now, I see in each of these categories, painting, modeling, and detailing, we've got spaces for bonus points, just generic bonus points. What are some of the things people can do to sort of earn those judges' discretion bonus points?
Anything extraordinary.
Like, putting in LEDs.
It's for painting. I don't know if that applies.
No, that'd be modeling.
It means any category where 3 points the judge doesn't feel that's enough for what you did.
Yeah.
If you painted a mural on Sungrader, that's beyond 3 man. So we give you your 3 and a bonus point.
There is no way to tell people what those bonus points are for because
it's judge's discretion.
It's judge's discretion.
Okay.
Right. So if a judge looks at an army and sees something that just blows their mind, or just thinks it could be something very simple too, but just done so well, or maybe so subtly that it looks just like
it belongs.
Yeah, like
Cool.
it belongs. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll twist the question around then. You guys have both done paint judging for 40 Below gaming events in the past.
We have, yep.
What are some examples of things that have earned bonus points from you?
Oh God, it's been a while.
It's funny because the easiest place to find bonus points I found was display boards.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good
one
point.
year was Rory Tracy's display board where it had plumbing in it, so there's waterfalls going, and
waterfall
LEDs making the water glow.
Yeah.
I mean, was it painted to a masterclass? No, but it was built very nice and it looked stunning with his Eldar. And to me, he's a plumber by trade, so it's actually hilarious. He had a waterworks going on there, but that got him bonus points.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to talk about display boards then?
Well, I mean, we could.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get to display boards. Actually,
Okay.
it would have been a smooth segue, but let's hold down for
fine.
later. But
Smooth
that was one
segues,
place
Who does those? Not
where I
me.
remember, someone getting just maximum points for display boards because he went so far beyond. And yes, LEDs would be another one. Like if you're putting LEDs in all your Necron stuff, cough, cough.
Another one was
Bang, more points.
Another one was Alex
Alex
Bedard's
Bedard's Orcs. That pretty much maxed out everything in the modeling department.
Yeah. So
Because what does he do with those orcs?
He scratch built most of it.
yeah, most of the trucks and stuff are like
Or Shin Orcs.
hot air balloons and stuff like that. Or just propellered planes and stuff. So it's just the amount of work again, like even down to the rivets, right? Like it's just that detailed that there 3 or 4 points just didn't justify how good it actually was.
And that's where the bonus points would come
So
in.
that's where
Okay.
the bonus points come in, stuff like that.
fact-
A lot of green stuff work, stuff like that's really cool. It's
People
always
can
nice to
sculpt,
see that
which is
people that can sculpt.
Still rare in the city, to be honest.
Even things like now 3D printing's a thing. So I think those are to be able something like Mike Major did a truck or
3D printing.
3D
Yes,
printed a
3D
full truck. So we designed it and printed it.
I played against that. That's
Okay,
his
so
Torox replacement, right?
so
Yeah.
even something like that, you wouldn't think that's much, but when you actually break it down, it's a scratch built model.
Yeah, he
So
designed it.
He designed it. So to me, in the modeling department, that's not kit bashing, but I mean the complexity points, the bonus points.
Plastic card, I think we might just have to amend that for a 3D.
Yeah,
at
there
some
might
point
be
too,
something
even.
like that.
But
But
that
you
is
know what I mean?
becoming
So
a
there's a
real
lot of
thing.
areas there that thing just checks all the boxes, and it's to scale. It looks nice. It's clean. It's you know what I mean? He's done. He's gone above and beyond, and so
Nice.
stuff like that would in my opinion get bonus points.
Okay.
What else? In
Yeah,
the detailing
well,
department.
Well, I was going to run through modeling quickly, then
Oh, yeah,
detailing.
yeah.
Modeling, I think, is mostly self-explanatory. Model preparation is like cleaning up your mold lines,
Yes.
drilling
Yeah.
your barrels.
Also,
dealing
something
with
that's
your flash.
a lot rarer around here than you think. Like when we're often looking at models, a lot of people don't clean up mold lines. It's like that's points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's points. Now, if you already have an army that's been painted for years and you're still playing it, well, you're not going to do much about that. But if you're preparing a new army, as is the case of the segments that you're running right now,
Yeah.
that is something to consider.
Absolutely. Kit bashing, that is taking parts from
Swapping
different
heads.
kits, swapping heads,
Yeah.
doing some unique
Finding
stuff.
some
that
third
can't-
party.
Yeah,
What is it
going
like?
Max Mini
Max
or
Mini or-
Stelpro or any of those third-party sites.
Just
and,
grabbing something different and making your army unique, making it your own.
yeah.
Something you can't get out of the box.
But it's
Putty-
not just
I saw the
doing it,
head. I want points. It's
it's
consistency.
looking good,
Yeah.
right? It's still like if the head is not proportioned to the rest of the model,
Like
that's
an Imperial
what I
Guard
mean? Then
head
it
on Space Marine.
Yeah, that stands out as a negative versus
Yeah.
the positive in that regard. But
Putty, plastic art, 3D printing, that's like green stuff work.
Mm-hmm.
What interests me here is there's a category for complexity, separate from all the other work.
Yes.
Like, how do you earn complexity points?
So I'm going to give a quick example on this one. When we're talking about kit bashing, you have, say, Marines, and you say swap hands, swap guns, swap heads. Well, there you get some points. Complexity would be I'm sculpting new guns, I'm sculpting new heads. I'm going beyond that. Like, take, for instance, my Eldar, my
Yes.
Exodites. My jetbike conversions are Dragon Riders from, Shining Spears, or Dragon Riders from 5 different kits. that's a very complex conversion versus just sticking a high elf on a dragon and giving him a las gun.
Or you've seen even Tau guns. There's certain guns that don't exist. So using other bits within the kit to make a gun, and again, like there is a different level of complexity there. That's no longer a kit bash, right? Like you're not just taking two parts and sticking them together. You're chopping little bits. You're gluing them together, and then
doing it over
and over again, right? And replicating consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where you get that silver bronze or silver gold, right? You just.
I'm going to toss an idea at you. You tell me where this would rate on. I'm not going to toss an idea at you because Fabio told me not to. I'm going to toss an idea. Tell me what this would rate on complexity. I've got some plans for a Cult of the Bladed Cog. Kilty. This is Genestealer Cults and Adeptus Mechanicus bits mixed together.
I've heard of this idea before.
There's a bunch of different kits involved, but notably, like Astra Militarum and AdMech and Genestealer Cultists kits, like the sprues, are all designed so that you can swap them easily.
Yeah, they're the same scale.
So, like, in terms of complexity, is that bronze, silver? Is that middle of the road because I'm looking from different kits? Does that lose points because they're designed to work together?
I think that's somewhere between bronze and silver.
Oh, okay.
Right? Silver would
Depending
be more
on
how consistent you are and how clean it looks. Whereas, bronze is if you've done one or two and it's literally just you've slapped the piece to piece together. I mean, it'd have to be something you'd kind of have to see, and it's not just about trying to think of it from a like, okay, part A fits into part B, so glue. It's like you have to kind of see how it looks overall too, right? Yep. Like if your whole army looks so much better because of what you've done to it, I think there's grounds for a better score there. Like the idea here is not to try and take away as many points as possible. Like the whole point
find reasons to award points.
Find reasons to award points. Like give me more reasons to award points.
And that's why we have a rubric to make sure every judge doing it is on the same page. Yeah. Because one guy, if you don't know the Necron army and there's beautiful conversions, he might look over, it's painted all right, 2 out of 10.
But in saying that,
he just did a huge conversion that the guys didn't recognize.
Exactly. This Necron Knight that we can see behind us on the shelf there.
Can we see it? I don't know, but whatever.
I'm pointing at it.
Yeah, it looks like a model, 2 out of 10. No, that's a gorgeous conversion, right? And that's why we have these rubrics to try and help
right above
guide
Scott's
people.
Head. That is a Necron Knight. You can't see it, but that's a detailed conversion. So, back to the rubric. Speaking of detailing.
Sorry, but just before we go on, what we are doing this year is every player at their station is going to have a card where they can actually write down things that they want judges to look at. Because we don't want them to hover over the judges. We want the judges to be able to look at an army and just not worry about someone talking or like feeling
like,
pressure.
Hey, check off another box. I did this. You do that to a judge, they're just gonna walk away and give you a 0.
Like, we don't want our judges to be hassled like that.
Judging. It was so frustrating.
That is your opportunity to put down key things that you want them to look at or look for, or let them know that these things aren't normal. These are things you've done. Yeah. And if you choose not to do that, then don't look to us after and be like, oh, you missed this, you missed this.
Oh, no, it's up to the player to announce that to make sure the judge does look at it.
As a player, it is your job to make sure your army's set up at all times to make sure it's judged. We will let you, if you want to know if your army has been judged by everybody and it is done for the day, we can let you know that. But also, making sure the judge is aware of all the special details and all the extra little miles you've done on the cue card.
Yeah, like here's an example. If you have a guy with a big backpack, you paint a nice for him mural on his backpack, but when you put him up for display, the back's facing the opposite side. The judge isn't going to pick up every model and look on the back. You need to say, look at the warp spiders. They have a gorgeous paint job on their backpacks.
Judges shouldn't have to judges aren't going to.
You're not going to pick up your models.
It's not. What did they say when we talked to them? It's not. It's tabletop quality, not.
You're being judged against a rubric versus judged against another player.
Yeah.
It's player versus standard instead of player versus player.
Yeah. So don't. But he'll.
Unless that's not what I was thinking of.
No, he said that too. But anyway, so
he said that.
There's a lot of stuff we're working on with the Manitoba Model Storage Society to kind of give a different element in the painting rubric, but it's all there. It's all online as far as how to score points. So do not show up saying you didn't know.
Homer asks in the chat, would a toy figure of Wesley Crusher on a base count as a knight conversion?
The answer to that is no. Moving forward,
Which, like, it does
Counts-
address the
unless you're in
question,
Minneapolis, then it
like,
might.
how do we approach conversions? Because I know I have the metric I tell people when it comes to conversions, which is first and foremost, check with the TO organization in advance.
Yeah,
But if you
absolutely.
want a good rule of thumb, is it on the same base size? Does it have the same silhouette? Is it wielding the same weapons? You got those
Is
three.
easily distinguishable. Like,
Yeah, is it because we have had, if I'm not mistaken, for example, someone try and submit Slanesh demon princes that looked a lot like corn demon princes that looked too much like Slanesh demon princes?
Well, you can't do this. I don't know. You probably can't even see this, but you can't have this model
Is that a
say.
Space Marine?
Yeah, you can't say this is my Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminator, and then also say that is my Primaris Space Marine or my Primaris Lieutenant. You can't that as it counts as you can use it as one if there's a way to distinguish it in some way, but if you start using the same counts as model for multiple things, that just doesn't work.
That makes sense.
Like there's
Confusion.
Yeah,
It's all confusion.
there's a rubric for that as well. I think on
Yeah, it's already been
on the
posted.
website as well under the Planes of War tab.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely
Conversion
check that out.
guidelines.
So basically, what we try to tell people is check there first. If you can check off all the boxes and make sure and you feel your model does it fit within those parameters, great.
Yeah.
If you're still unsure, ask us. Send a picture. Ask us. If you check off most of those parameters, but you're still not sure,
Ask
same
us.
thing. Ask us. Send a picture. Don't wait for the night before, because I guarantee you are not getting an answer, and you are at the judge's mercy the day of.
We're not even looking at Facebook the night before.
Like
I'll
legit,
tell you
guys, we
that.
are not. So don't do that to us. Like, we try and give out all this information has been sitting up for at least a month now. So please take a look. We want everyone to have as much fun as possible and use all their cool stuff. Like Homer just sent me one yesterday asking about a defiler conversion, and at first I was a little skeptical of it, but now he's starting to show me updates on it and how like all the green stuff work and all the work
yeah,
to
the
make
progress.
it look like the actual model, and it looks great. Like, I was really surprised, to be honest, and
Came to
so
life.
you know what I mean. Like, so that's the kind of stuff I don't mind looking at. Honestly, like 20 of those a day. Like, it's totally fine. But I have what 3-4 weeks still, so it's okay for us to deliberate and really make sure. We don't want to change your conversions. We don't want to tell you how to play or how your army should look. But when you show up to events, we want the idea to be like, everyone should be able to look at a model and be able to just
And
tell
not have their
what-
gameplay affected by,
Yeah.
I thought that was a ...
Yeah.
And then, it turns out it was something else, and now you're crushed.
This squad's meltas are actually flamers. This squad's is plasma. This one is this, and it's just like, well, I'm looking at the same weapon on all these squads. I can't. It's something that they constantly have to tell
Or
themselves.
5 different models in the army that are all counting as assault cannons, but they all look different.
Yeah.
Which is also a very common thing when you add like
Don't
third-party
do it.
bits.
Just say no to drugs.
Just
Last
say no.
category on the rubric, fairly
Yeah.
straightforward, detailing, weathering, battle damage, detailed bases. What are some examples of detailed bases?
Well, the base you put your models
man.
on, right?
Yeah.
Are you leaving them black? Are you putting a little bit of sand on it? Or are you putting them on giant rocks with vines and all that kind of stuff? Like that. That's
Are you using just that
detailed
GW
base.
texture paint, which is a great starting
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
for anybody,
Yeah.
just because it's so quick and easy.
Or that crackle paint they
crackle
use for
paint, yeah.
the Mechanicum armies. I mean, that stuff's incredible. It looks great. It's super simple to use, and that's how you can get some points on
Get
that.
some
Super
easy
simple.
points. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Decal insignia is fairly
Another
straightforward.
that actually,
Oh.
believe it or not, it's very
Decals
not.
insignia is not.
Oh.
It
Okay.
seems straightforward, but again, most players get a big fat 0 in this category, and there's absolutely no reason because there's minimum effort.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you still get the points for using the decals that
Yeah.
come in the box?
Absolutely.
absolutely.
If you go through all your Space Marines and you put the number 1 on each of the squad shoulder pads, or you put the Ultramarine logo on the other shoulder pad, you do that kind of stuff, you're probably coming out with at least 2 points, if not 3.
Okay.
And decals are so easy to use. The problem is GW doesn't tell you how to use them. They've never really explained, here's how you do it, or at least the way they have tried to explain it sucks.
All right, so that begs the question:
How do you do it?
how do you do decals?
the way I've been doing it for years now is using two-part chemical base, which is microsol and microset. Using those two together with some varnish, you get a perfect decal every time. It goes on smooth, you can't see the edge, and it's minimum effort.
Okay.
I can decal a whole squad in 30 minutes.
Microsol, microset, varnish, where do you get these things?
Microsol and microset, you can get that at most hobby shops in the city. Eliminator RCA is where I used to get mine.
Okay.
It's like $5 for the two of them, or maybe it's $5 each, I don't know. But I've had the same two bottles now for over 10 years. And they're still not even half empty.
That makes sense.
Hang on, so
cool.
Hang on, we got someone.
No, here we go.
Matrix.
Matrix asks, "Hey, who do I pray to in the hopes of being able to paint my new Chaos Army in 4 weeks?"
4 weeks is
what are you looking at me
lot
for?
Of time.
Well, I'm looking at you because you're here to, among other things, give us some speed painting tips.
Basically, okay,
Yes,
before
well,
we get into speed painting tips,
will be
you
a
have
fun one.
4 weeks. You have 2,000 points. You basically have
It's more like 4 weekends,
a
realistically speaking.
week. You have a week for base coat wash, call it. Second coat, third color,
Bases,
and
display board.
base
Base and display board.
base and display board. You could
It's
literally
possible.
It is super possible. Honestly, man, without going too much into the speed painting process, which Scott's going to touch on in a second, all you have to do is basically you break down your 4 weeks and say I need to make this happen by this date. So like go backwards. 4 weeks. What's the minimum you want expectation of yourself, and just work from there. If you can shorten that timeline and do additional work within that 4th week or whatever, then that's great. But like,
Or if you can get some help from friends.
yeah, help from friends too. I mean,
I know a lot
honestly,
of guys who do Army by
the biggest
by
thing
party.
though is the first question is, do you have an airbrush?
because that will
honest to God,
significantly cut down your
you
time.
can literally get your base coat, then you hit your wash, then you hit your second coat, like maybe a source light. You could have 4 coats on it in like a weekend. You could have a whole army 4 coats of color.
Can my 4-month-old assist? Well, I wouldn't bank on that, but when you get to week 4 in the last couple days, well, I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah,
Will that
that's
affect
a
your
tough
paint
one.
score if you use your POW painting card to highlight the judge's attention on the fact that your 4-month-old assisted you?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, the
it's
nice thing
worth
about
a shot.
4 months, that 4-month-old doesn't have teeth yet, right?
Not to my knowledge.
All right, so you'll have no teeth marks on your model, so that's a plus. Unless that's battle damage.
Oh, except for my
Weathering
dog
and battle
got hold of
damage.
that orc.
All right,
Oh
let's
my
see what
god.
the
So, very quickly, speaking of airbrushes,
Yes.
recommendations.
Airbrushes are the #1 game-changing thing ever. When I got mine 7 years ago, like, I didn't hate painting models anymore. I actually started learning how to paint them properly with a hand brush ever since. But it does so much for your game, and if you know how to use it effectively, I've seen people paint entire Space Marines with just an airbrush, never even using a hand brush. I've tried it and came close, but
Now, where should you
Yeah.
put your money when you get the
Compressors.
airbrush? Compressors?
compressors, and this
As
is
opposed
what's
to the little
so
brushy thing.
the brush things they're dime a dozen. Whether you have a $200 one or a $20 one, if you don't have a good compressor behind it, it's worthless.
Okay.
Because the good compressor will give you air consistency, and if you have consistency, you can do anything. But if you're trying to put air out of an airbrush and it's going,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get any detail.
You can literally get better airbrushes allow you to do finer detail.
Yeah.
If you have a cheaper airbrush but a really good compressor that's consistent, you can at least get your 3 base colors and based, which is
Accurately based.
such a battle for most people to do.
Yeah.
And you can now get all that done in a weekend.
Yep.
Or a week if you really put some effort into it and consistently say I need to do 2 squads a night or whatever you want to do. It's
Easily
so
pull that off.
exactly what Scott's saying. The brush is something when you want to get into finer details. You want to do that more like fine object source lighting, or like I have a Sotar 2020, which is basically like pen thin lines to do like calligraphy on models and stuff like that.
Nice.
And that's a step that
But you
I've
probably
only
use that
recent-
like once in a while.
Exactly.
Barely ever.
The one I use the most is like I think it's my Badger. I don't know.
Yeah, they call those the
or is it
workhorse
Iwata?
brushes.
Yeah, Iwata Eclipse.
Eclipse HPCS,
something like
probably.
that.
Same one I use.
It's like $250.
Yep, that's the same one I
and
use.
it's like it is literally the workhorse. It literally base
you
coats.
talk-
It does everything.
Like if you talk to any airbrush artist, they will say, "Yeah, I have about 10 airbrushes in my collection. I use this one 90% of the day, and then for the last 10%, I pick out whichever one it is." And it's usually an Iwata HPCS Eclipse. And yeah, I spent $250 on one 7 years ago. Haven't replaced it since.
Yeah, you're replacing bits.
Yeah,
probably.
parts. And that's another thing.
But
When you're
that's
buying brushes, you want a brand where you can get replacement parts.
Readily available.
If you go to China and you order a $50 airbrush, you get it, you use it twice, it's broken. They're not going to sell you replacement parts. They're going to sell you another $50 airbrush.
So, where and when are the best places and times to get your airbrush parts? And you know why I'm asking the when question.
Well, I mean, Michaels does sell a lot, and you can often get those 50% off coupons.
Yeah.
I heard Artist Emporium has good prices, but I've yet to see that myself.
Artist Emporium is not the greatest for price, but they always have all the parts available.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like that's where I go when I need replacement parts, spending a little bit more, but I know they have what I need when I
Eliminator,
need.
half price, always in stock.
Oh, okay, well fine. All right, I didn't know that. There's a plug, Eliminator. We'll
Have
call
you
you
guys
later.
been to the new Hobby Sense place near St.
Yes,
Vital
it's
Centre?
right by the GW. I went there
No.
once. when they were still opening up. They didn't have everything up yet,
Okay.
but they were looking like they were getting into airbrushing stuff. They had some airbrush Vallejo paints on the shelf, but again, it was new at the time, and I just haven't been back since.
I picked up some Vallejo stuff there, and I did see a bunch of airbrush stuff on
yeah.
sale, so that could be another source.
Honestly, eBay and Amazon. That's where I always found the best prices for
I got
everything.
2-day shipping on Amazon. You can't go wrong if you don't have the parts you need in the city. But
Yeah,
That's
well, for the
Obviously you
airbrush
want-
itself.
yeah, obviously you want to try. Like I would say, try and get those things local. But because I don't know how the shipping is on such small parts unless you're Prime.
Yeah.
Parts? No, always get local. I meant the brush itself.
Oh, the brush itself.
I always found the best place to get brushes was eBay or, I guess, Amazon.
I don't know if anybody in the chat has any other suggestions or recommendations on as far as brushes or where
Yeah.
to find brushes.
Well, I mean,
but,
Pash, Badger, Iwata, those are the kind of like the three main brands.
yeah.
Personally, I prefer Iwata, but I don't really have a whole lot of experience with the other two because I bought an Iwata 7 years ago, and like I keep saying, it hasn't broken since.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
never had to buy another airbrush.
Yeah, that's the
That's
other thing. Where once
incredible.
it's no
So-
different than you using certain computer products and myself. They don't if they're not breaking
We
down.
would never try
we
something
just
different.
don't have a reason to try something different, and so.
All right. So, Metarix, we'll get back to the speed painting tips in a second, but since we're talking about tools and maintenance and your best bet for keeping what you need to do the painting in shape, Scott, you have some specific tools and maintenance tips
so-
for us.
It's pretty crazy. Like I see people say they go through a paintbrush every 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes one a month. And I'm looking at the
bizarre.
price tags, like where do you buy them? A lot of people are saying they get the GW brushes, or they go to Artist Emporium, get those Sable Kolinsky brushes, which are all right.
Yeah.
But they're replacing these $8 brushes every 2 weeks. My Rosemary's, I spent $20 for a brush. I get at least a year out of them, sometimes more.
Nice. What do you do? Do you do anything extra to keep them in shape?
Yeah, you have to.
Like, hit me.
There's
You
like
have
that
to.
wax or something
like-
that you rub your.
I have not heard of any
There's
of this
soap?
stuff. Teach me.
Yeah, there's a
Well,
soap.
think of it. Like, how often do you wash your hair?
Every day.
Yeah. So if you didn't wash your hair for say 3 months, it wouldn't be in the greatest of shape. And that's what paintbrushes are. They're horsehair. They're living hair that's not living anymore, but it has to be maintained as such. And what Fabio was talking about is a little puck, and you get this stuff. It's like a puck of soap.
Okay.
So when the paint starts drying into it, or after a session, you just want to make sure it's clean. Yeah, you rub it in there, you dry it out, boom, done. And not only does it help clean out the brush, but it also helps preserve the tip. If you leave a little soap in before it completely dries out, it will harden, and then when you pick it up next time, that the form of the airbrush or the paintbrush will be almost reset.
It's a simple like rinsing under the sink. Not
Well, yeah,
super advisable.
once. No, that is. It's fine to
Okay.
do that. But what people will do is after they're done with their brush, they'll put it in water to get all the paint and residue out of it. But then they'll dry it on paper towel. And what you've now done is that's fine, but you've now taken all the moisture out of those hairs, and
Okay.
they'll start to fray and curl. And
Yep.
so what that soap is doing is basically relaxing those
together.
hairs and keeping some moisture in there, but it's not paint that's going to harden and ruin the brush. So then, oops, sorry, man, I just totally spat all over your hand. That was cool. They were live.
moistening
Nailed
his-
it. I got so excited.
Moistening his hands so he's a better
Moisturizing.
painter.
I was gonna say anything. I was gonna keep listening, but
Nope, that was gross. And I saw it too. You guys probably zoomed in on that too. You can see it live. Oh, that's glorious.
Dusty
Anyway,
Auspex.
shields up. Okay.
but yeah, so it's like it's legit a thing. Like and then it's better to use that soap and leave your brush out with that soap on. Another thing is those little plastic covers that brushes come with. I was actually told that it is a bad idea to put those back on your brushes
because every
after
time you
you're
put it on, you chance catching a brush hair and snapping it off. If you do that, then you really mess it up.
That or those are hairs. It needs to breathe. You've now
Oh, there, yeah.
locked it into this little cone, and it can't breathe and it dries out. Another easy way to allow it to dry out. And I didn't know that either. Actually, Byron was the one that told me about that one.
Nice.
So yeah, these are.
Dish soap in your painting water helps as well, which is true. But when you're painting, I don't want to be licking my paintbrush and then putting dish soap in my mouth. Now, there's always been a huge debate as whether you should lick your brush or not. And in the years of reading and talking to people, there's no conclusive way. It's
Use a wet palette. Yeah. Wet palette avoids all of that.
But before you go on, there's one more thing. Pass me that pen. When people store their paintbrushes, they usually store it in a cup. And imagine the tip of this pen being, the brushes and bristles. They leave it like that. What this is doing is causing all the water that's left in the brush to travel down the hair and into the ferrule and dissolving the glue. So next thing you know,
your hair starts to fall.
It starts to fall and split. You're supposed to store them upside down so all the water drips out and it does not affect the glue. Now, how you do that, that's up to you because you can't really put them upside down in a cup. You need a way to suspend them.
So I have a dumb question then because I've always been curious about this. The official Citadel painting water pot that you can buy from our sponsor, Game Night Games and Cool Stuff, Games Workshop stores, etc. Like the little rivets or the divoted ferrule type things in that cup. Is that for like clipping your brush in so that it can be stored?
No, but it is interesting.
Those, like,
when you take it out of the brush or out of the water, you can slide the brush hairs through there, and that'll give it that tip.
Okay.
So you don't have to lick it or whatever. But
what you do is use some cork board. You have tacks, and then you use paper clips.
Yeah.
So then what you do is on the little loop, you hook that onto the paper clips, or onto the tacks that are on the board, and then you clip the tips of your paintbrushes so they dangle.
The ends.
On the ends, and then your paintbrush stays angled down.
Nice.
That's how I do it.
Or actually, it's funny you mentioned the Citadel pot because I was just about to do that. So you get the Citadel pot. I actually bought one, and I actually kind of like it. I don't mind it. It was just one of those days where I wanted to see if it was any good. And what I found through Thingiverse, the site to get all your 3D printing models, is a little add-on for it, which is basically a ring that goes around the pot like this. And then it kind of stops there, and the ring has a bunch of holes in it that you would put your paintbrushes through, and then it holds them all upside down. Around.
You like an external clip for your paintbrush.
Yeah, it's a little ring around the
Just get creative.
Get creative. Figure out.
Okay, wait, hang on a second. We got a Clanky 304.
I was gonna say
$10 Michael's Artist Loft brushes. 20 brushes for $10.
Oh, I can only imagine how quick those go down.
How fast do you go through those brushes?
Here's the thing, right? If you have a broken brush and people get them, even the expensive ones break eventually, you can restore them. I mean, the soap method we were talking about earlier can repair a lot, but if that doesn't do it, you can get conditioner. Just like you condition your hair, you can get conditioner for paintbrushes. And again, that's like the next step if you're really trying to restore it. And I've taken some brushes that I thought were long, long gone that I actually just use now for shoving around with liquid putty. And now they're actually back to being paint worthy. Okay, these were my putty brushes I used for years. I just restored recently, and now I can paint with it again.
So so hang on. So 20 brushes last you a week, or a brush lasts you a week? And how much painting do you do in that week? I'm just very curious because that's a pretty good price point if you're going a brush a week.
If you're
so a brush a week.
So that's $40 a year in brushes versus like the upfront cost of the air brushes.
No,
it's a little more than $40 a year in brushes. But versus like the several $100 upfront cost of the brushes, like if you're willing to keep paying that amount, sure, but it's one of those things where if you invest in an airbrush right away, I imagine like it pays itself back.
In hours.
In
hours.
But time.
But hours and time. But
time
also
is money, man.
But also it salvages how much you use those brushes too.
Yep.
Right. If you can get 4, 5, 6 colors on a model without a brush, like that model there, that was one brush that literally had to dry brush silver.
This is rough. You just posted on there about a monster or a character a week. So if you're going through one brush per model,
okay. So here,
that's a pretty rough ratio.
I'll pull this guy. So this guy here. Now my painting method on him is a little different. But this, I don't know if we can see him at all. But
we're gonna do this.
He's got.
Oh, we're doing it.
We're going in. Okay, but literally, this guy's got no brushwork except for the dry brushing of Necron compound over the whole model. The rest is all airbrush and sponges dabbing all over, stippling effects, and realistically, like, so my brushes last forever with my paint method on my Necrons. Oh, zoomed in. There we go.
Ooh.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
Shaky,
But, like,
shaky.
I mean, it's not amazing painting, but I mean, there's obviously a lot of details I could pluck out and keep adding. But in the grand scheme of things, this is tabletop acceptable, and I get to salvage my brushes.
Yeah, like how
Which
much
is the
have you
big
spent in physical brushes as opposed to airbrushes over the last?
Honestly, next to nothing. Like I bought a pack of 100 brushes online for it was like $30, and those brushes kind of pluck out details with those, or like, you know, larger surfaces. And then I have a set of sable brushes that I use for finer detail. But those brushes, that's a set of 5, and those cost me about $50 to $60 for those 5 brushes. But those brushes have lasted me. I've used the same brushes for upwards of 3 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, like those
Basic maintenance.
the cheap
goes
brushes
a long way.
But even those cheap brushes, I've only gone through 3 of them in the last like 4 months because I just don't do very much brush work. Now, I mean,
Yes,
granted,
airbrush.
certain armies do more brush work, and that is what it is. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Necrons is definitely an army we can get away with a
You
lot of
can
it
get
because
a
there's no like armor versus skin tone. It's all the same.
Yeah.
When you get things like guard, it's a little bit trickier because you have that the contrast between armor tones and skin
Yeah.
tone. Well, any army that has skin tone,
no,
really.
absolutely. But I don't know. It teach their own, but
Yeah.
it's I think there's a balance between doing research and then finding what works for you. Like just trying
Yeah.
to come up with some kind of technique and rhythm that allows you to maximize not only your efficiency, maximize your time, maximize your dollar.
And taking care of your tools is important because the last
Yeah.
thing you want to do is find, I got a whole weekend now to sit down, paint. It's a long weekend. I got 3 days lined up. And you go in there and all your paintbrushes are
Got
away.
nothing.
Or you
Yeah.
pick up your airbrush and there's a pile of paint dried in the pot, and now you got to spend 4 hours soaking it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Like
it can
taking
really
care of your
kill it.
brushes can still even make those dollar store brushes last a long,
Yeah,
long
it's
time,
it's
right?
the same concept
Yeah.
as for any paintbrush out there.
But more importantly, for the airbrush, right?
Yes,
Back to
well,
the
that's-
airbrush. You
that has
need
its own
to keep
maintenance
that
as well.
thing clean all the time. Cleaning it out after every use. You know,
Yeah.
if you're going to be away from it for a while, pull it apart. You know, give it a good clean. Don't let paint sit in the gun.
Don't leave the O-ring on when you're soaking it in chemicals.
Yeah.
Like, gotta remove the proper parts. It's a moving device. It has parts you have to lubricate as well. So you need the airbrush lubricant oils to put through the trigger and off the needle. Things like that. I mean, if you maintain it, it works. If you don't, well, I mean, you're gonna start replacing those parts a lot quicker than had
then you may as well have a brush.
maintained it.
And then you're going to be in the need of speed painting. So, onto that part of
Yes,
things. Your
speed
tips for speed
painting.
painting.
Well,
Matrix has got that Chaos Army he's got to paint in 4 weeks. What's the best
Go.
thing he can do? We've talked about, like, allocating your time.
yes, you need to make a schedule. You gotta break down what you want to see, what you don't, and then you gotta look at your tools. Do you have an airbrush or do you not? If you do, okay, that makes it easy. If you don't, one of the best things for speed painting is colored primer. GW's starting to get back into this. Army Painter's been doing it forever, where if I'm painting orcs, I would get a green primer. Boom, the entire army's green. That's already my primer step and my first color's done. So how much time did that just save you? If he's doing Black Legion, well, geez, you can just get any old black
Yeah.
from even from Canadian Tire. But
I've been looking at the Retributor Gold for my Custodies. Like,
Yep.
that's
then-
like 40% of the model at least done.
But then
in
how
the
much?
primer
Then
step.
getting a wash over top of that,
Yeah.
right? And then you pretty much got 3 colors.
oh, you could easily do that Custodian's Army because there's only 10 models. But that part aside, you would need. Oh wait, did they sell Retributor Gold in spray can at GW?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
I
there
have a
you
can
go.
Sitting at home.
Done. All gold. Do a quick wash, Reichland Flesh. Now you start picking out the reds, and you're halfway there.
All right. So, tip number 1 for speed painting: pick
the
an
proper
army,
base color.
Pick a color primer that matches your army.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's
Now,
next?
well, the other thing to that is you gotta also choose if you're not doing green or blue or whatever. You gotta choose if it's gonna be white or black. You want dark army or bright army? Are you painting bright colors? Spray paint it white, so you don't have to spend as much time bringing colors up to make it look good. Just pick one simple. But in the end, yeah, just get a blue, get a green, lay that one down.
They are those. Okay, hang on, those spray cans are expensive, but
1 or 2 per army.
but you're gonna need one or two per army, and again, it goes back to your time. What's your time worth? If you need to spend, I know, like guy like Kyle, base coats all his armies with a brush. Like, I can't imagine how many hours that takes. And
I can prime that guy in probably like under 5 minutes.
I don't blame Kyle for not caring as much about painting because it's such a daunting task to get to the 3-color minimum.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be that way, but since I got the airbrush, my time, the bulk of my time has now, instead of being in my base coating and my first coat and my second coat,
detailing
it's
and
now
your
in my detail,
conversions,
which is now makes it more. Now I'm more vested in it because
you get to do the fun stuff more often.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I can do the fun stuff more often, but I can get my army to a point where I can play it, which further encourages me to keep picking models of picking a couple models, getting them done. You know what I mean? Getting to that next level. Yes, exactly. So sorry, didn't mean to cut off, but yeah.
No,
okay.
Whatever.
How much is the Retributor Gold?
It's probably a $20 can from GW.
Yep, that's what I paid.
Yeah.
And
Okay, but
frankly, like I think my time is worth that.
So, but if you don't do that, you get 4 pots. And how far do those get you? Like, are you going to get your whole army done?
Actually, Retributor Gold is more than $5 a pop. They're up to $8.
Pots?
Yeah, they're up to $8 a pop now.
The little pots?
Yeah, they have 2 different pricing things I found out recently. Like some of the little pots are $8, some of the little ones are $5. Or sorry, $7.90 versus $5.60.
I thought those are the larger ones.
No, those ones are over $10.
Really? Damn.
It's
if you don't know, now you know.
Well, no, like they have 2 different types. It's the same size pot, but different prices because of the pigment count. They're marketing some of these paints saying you don't need to do 2 thin coats like Duncan says. This will do it in 1. And that's why they're more expensive because they have a stronger pigment count.
2 thin coats.
Yep, 2 thin coats. But what's the next step? Well, here's where the speed really kicks in. You want to do a wash over your model, probably. At this point, you want to get some shading in. And then also, this will help any further colors get picked up. If you use Army Painter Primer, sometimes it gives it a little bit... it's not a good texture to paint on top of.
It's like gritty.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Actually, no, it's too smooth. It's not gritty enough.
Oh, okay.
The GW stuff is nice and gritty. The Army Painter stuff's too smooth. But you put a wash over it, bang, it's going to be much easier for hand painting the rest.
Okay.
Taking a wash, you can get one of those $10 pots and just start going washing every model. Or, again, go to Army Painter, get one of those little mini painting pots. They're about yay big, about that tall. And you shake it up really good. And you take your model, you dip it. Shake it off, put it down. Dip the next one, shake it off, put it down. You do this for your entire army. And this special stuff that they sell is meant for dipping.
Oh, okay.
It's got a different viscosity to it. It reacts differently to normal washes, so you can't just dip it off and it doesn't pool like an idiot.
Interesting.
Some armies are more conducive to dipping than others, right?
Yeah.
You can't really go around dipping an Eldar model because that's not how they are. But Necrons and Tyranids, for example, Tyranids are the birth of the dipping method. They were the first army. If someone started doing this, like, wow, this looks amazing.
Yep. And then, like, Custodes, I imagine there's so much gold.
Exactly.
If your army is defined by
a really major color.
Custodes gold, Necrons, that gunmetal gray.
Yep. And that's when the dipping method helps, because now all of a sudden you're watching your entire army in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Versus taking every model and going nah with a paintbrush.
I'm skeptical of the dipping method.
That's fair.
That scares me.
I would not use it myself. Even with my orcs, I would not use it.
Like, I just think
But
that once you
this is
flip
speed
that
painting.
model over, does it not have like that excess?
It all just drains off. I tried it. Like, I had a pot of this stuff and I dipped one in there. Like, wow, it's got really, really dark because it was a black wash. If I got a brown wash or a light brown wash, well, that would have been maybe more ideal. But I was a stupid person, got a black one, and said, yeah, it's not for me, give it to a buddy.
That's right.
But it produces decent results. But again, we're talking speed painting, not award winning.
Sorry, yeah, okay.
And this is how you get
chirping
depth.
those Eldar, the elves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get your depth, and that takes you a day, maybe 2 days if you're slow. And then you start picking out the colors like you were talking about. Get your contrasts, get your highlights.
Yeah. So tip 1 for speed painting, prime in your base color. Tip 2, consider dipping your washes. Tip 3,
I feel like this needs to be a flow chart
detailing.
almost. It's
Yeah.
like, do you have an airbrush? Yes. Then go
do
this
this.
route. If you don't have an airbrush, good luck and do this.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if you have an airbrush, you can still speed paint an army, but it's going to look 3-4 times as good because you're going to have more colors, you have more gradients, you have more blending going on. If you don't have an airbrush, well, you're going to lose out on those points. But if you have an airbrush, you can put out an army just as fast. It'll look great. If anyone's ever seen Dan Hewen's orcs, the Dan Hewen special is what we call his paint jobs when they get to 75% and never completed. But that 75% looks stellar, and he will take colors like purple and yellow with a bit of green in there, and he'll blend them through the airbrush, and he'll get them to that point we were just talking before the wash goes on, and they still look stellar.
Bizarre 40k Beast, our friend in Kelowna says, you brush the tone after you dip to move around the build-up.
That's fair. I mean, if you're diligent on that, that would make sense. But even I still worry, but just because like, okay, so now you're talking about speed painting. Now you're dipping a model, you're waiting for it to all set to the bottom, and then you're using a brush and wiping away excess.
Oh no, you don't really wipe way too much.
Well, no, but that's what I
you
think
shake it. You literally shake it off like this.
So you waste all that excess paint.
This is for speed painting, not for efficiency.
Okay, fine.
You shake it, it gets rid of all the excess, and the rest just kind of settles and goes down.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Go on.
Big
What's
three
next?
tips for speed painting. Anything else for speed painting, or should we move on to the high-end stuff?
Well, the basing, you have to do something for base.
Okay.
And the easiest way to do a base and make it look decent, in my opinion, is Vallejo mud paste. You take your base, take the mud paste, put it down, let it dry, snip off the edge, paint it. And then you just get a nice little mud texture. That actually looks pretty good. A lot of people will go like the sand route where you're like gluing stuff, but now you gotta put the model on, put glue on, get sand around. This is too time consuming. I'd rather just pick up a base, take a butter knife, slap it on, next.
Let it dry.
Let it dry next.
Kind of like this
Makes
base.
sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like
the
a
exact
paste.
same stuff. That stuff is incredible. I use it for my quick bases. I use it for my detailed bases. That stuff can speed things up so well. Now you have a base.
Okay, cool. So, high-end stuff. Battle damage. Somebody wants to win Best of Show
Well-
at Plains of War. What are some of your tips for going that extra mile?
Okay, so if you want to win Best Plains of War, it's simple. You got to go through the rubric and say, I got to have at least 1 point in every category. If you can't claim at least 1 point in every category, you're not even going to come close to first place.
Okay.
Now, the rubric here is out of 62 points. And I think the highest I've ever seen someone score off this rubric is around
50 or
55 or
something,
56. And that was like a masterfully painted army.
Okay.
A smaller one, but it hit almost everything, but not everything maxed.
We usually have a lot of people in the 20s.
The average is around
And,
27.
Yeah, around 20, 25, 27,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, and then you have like your outliers. There's the 5s, 6s, 8s,
Unfinished armies.
just
that didn't come in,
unfinished.
or
And the crazy thing is, like, when you think about 8 points, 10 points even, like, if you go through this, I don't know how you can't at least achieve 10 points. Like, realistically, again, like Scott's saying, if you get 1 in every category, or at least a 1 to
You're
2
already-
in some categories, like, you should be at, like, 15 to...
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's almost no excuse to have less than 19 points. If you have less than that, it means you weren't paying attention. But if you want to win, you have to have all that points. If your army is very well painted, but you have no conversions, you're not going to win. So you got to figure out ways to get conversions in there, even just to get a few points.
The biggest points, actually, that people lose out on are the display boards.
Display boards.
People don't bring them.
Yes, and that is something that
Like, you
it's
literally-
the curb appeal, man.
You literally
We were talking about that.
get a tray or a picture frame,
A Rubbermaid.
a Rubbermaid. That is 1 point. You bringing something of your own to transport your army from table to table is 1
It's
point.
like a display board is mandatory for tournaments. You should never be coming to one without it, because are you going to pack up your army after every game in its foam, take it to the next table, and unpack it again? No. Everyone should have at least a Rubbermaid bin. That's a point.
Yeah.
But there's still people who come without something, and usually
Like-
we have loaners on
Yeah,
hand.
we
but-
have we bring cookie trays.
Yeah.
and just have them on.
and
Just
there you go.
because we don't. It's just to help people get
up.
to table,
Get your
be able to
tables.
speed up. But like the fact that people can't even do that for their armies is crazy. Like that.
Fabio, can I get
Oh,
you
no.
to put that neck on night back on the shelf? Because we're going to pull out an example
Oh, yeah.
of like a great, perhaps award-winning army display table tray.
I wouldn't call it award-winning, but it was definitely cheap. And that's the biggest thing that people talk about with display boards, It's like, people don't want... What are you giving it to me for?
So that you can hold it and
I
talk
don't,
about
no,
it.
I don't want to hold it. Just put it right here with the camera on it. People
no
think
show
that
and
making a
shit on this
display
show.
board is
producer
expensive
here. I'll just do this.
and difficult,
Do producer Josh stuff.
and that could be further from the truth. Most display boards I've built, including this one, have costed under $15, maybe $15 to $20 tops. Majority of this is from the dollar store or scraps.
All right, tell us about how you built it.
Well, the wood underneath. Just find any piece of wood that has any sort of shape. For instance, that's a TV tray.
Legit go to like Home Depot or
Look for
Rona
scrap.
and ask them for scrap.
And even if it's not like an ideal shape, great. Work with that oblong shape. It'll give it some more identity.
Yeah.
Like, this is art, guys. Like, you can do anything. But yeah, that piece of wood was just off a broken display or TV table. So
TV tray.
there you go. So to give it some extra depth, I took a layer of foam core, which is the next layer of it, and then I kind of cut stuff out to give it depth for the water.
Okay.
And then you can kind of see the raises around here. That's just more layers of foam core. just to give it that extra layer. It's it's cheap looking, but it's elevation.
How did you do the water?
Well, we'll get to that's usually the last thing. But we'll get to that. The mountain itself is even better. It's just pieces of foam, and then around the edges, I take white glue and tissue paper, crumple it together so it gets kind of like
Paper mache.
like, and then that's what gives you the rock texture.
Yeah.
Some of the areas turn out better than others, but it's a display board. You're not trying to look amazing.
Okay.
So yeah, you keep looking around there. What else is there?
Yeah,
There's a bunch of what is this stuff called? Sphagnum
Foliage?
moss. Sphagnum
Sphagnum
moss.
moss.
Dollar
Okay.
store. All those plants. That's all dollar store aquarium stuff.
The idea is like it's not like even Josh, the way he's zooming in on it is not. This isn't Golden Demon quality. Like
Oh,
this
God,
is,
no.
Right,
This is
like
2
this-
days.
But no, but the idea here is you're supposed to be able to look at this from like a few feet away, and
Ooh, I want to go look at that.
get some and it
attention.
gets your attention. It brings you closer. It draws you into the overall aesthetic. And that's all you're looking to do. Like
The
that
curb appeal.
It's the curb appeal.
It's
like,
the models you want to show off.
yeah.
And that's what you got to think about when you build a display board. Like, why do I have mountain there? Because I want some models elevated above the rest.
Yeah.
Because I don't want everything on the same plane. It's lets you able to show off certain models.
Yeah.
For instance, you put a hero model in the top step with a flyer at the top.
See, but like even like you've got here, you've got different levels. Like you could have your basic troops up here, but then you have your HQs
Exactly.
elevated. Then you have like a some larger monster or like an avatar or something. If
And
it's
that's
Eldar,
all scrap
build it.
material. Majority of it's
just
scrap.
build
Like,
up, yeah.
And if you don't have any foam core, go to the dollar store. Get a sheet of it for $2. So the most expensive part on here would have been the mud paste and the water. The mud paste I probably used about a quarter of a bottle, and that's just to give it the texture of the mud. But you can use anything for that. There's cheaper ways of doing it. You can take plaster of Paris, mix it with some white glue and some sand, and you can get a very similar texture. And the water, again, it's $20 for a bottle. I use maybe like a half an ounce of it, like very, very small amount. Just kind of pour it over there, mix it with some GW wash, give it a blue tint, and let it sit for 2 days. Takes
Yeah.
about 48 hours to cure.
Yeah, that part you can't do last minute. You
No,
gotta
that's
let it sit.
it's the last step, but you do have to, not come to the event with it. And there you go. Now you have a nice looking display board. I mean, like you said, it's not Golden Demon, but it's a nice looking display board for under $20. It takes you less than 2 days to build. And a majority of the time is just waiting for stuff to dry. And that's just one example. Like, the sky's the limit. Like, I see Producer Josh, you have your display board over here.
Yeah.
And it's not as colorful as the previous one, but you can see the ingenuity in it. This display board is...
Let that end lean down.
This display board is built out of a chalkboard sold at Michael's for 80% off one day. And it's actually meant to be hung upright, and this section here is where you put your markers and your chalk and all that other fun stuff. And then this would have been the chalkboard itself. But this is a great way to put on some mountain facings. There was a mold laying around for mountain facings, so I used that, put some plaster of Paris in there, slapped it on there, and used the whole white glue and tissue paper trick to fix up the rest. As we all know, plaster of Paris is cheap. The molds can be pricey, but again, you don't need it. And then with this back end here, you can store all your books and stuff in there, so that's kind of neat. Everything else on here is just scraps laying around from broken pieces of terrain or whatever that got glued on, and the snow effect is mostly baking powder mixed with some leftover GW snow effect I had.
Nice. How did
Yeah.
you get the trees? Like, are the trees from the broken terrain, or?
Yep, that's all just broken terrain, broken GW stuff. I made a mold out of the tree stumps, so half those tree stumps are plastic, the other half are plaster of Paris.
You'll never
Okay.
know which one.
But you'll never know which ones, because, making molds is, again, it's a little trick for modeling that
Yeah.
is very cheap to do if you have the right material, and the material's cheap, you just gotta do it.
How long did this take you, and how expensive was it?
Like 2 hours.
Oh wow! Like
The
whole board,
cost,
2
the whole
hours.
board was 2 hours. The cost of this, it was the most expensive part. It would have normally been $50. I got 80% off, so it was around like 15 or something.
Okay.
And the rest was all just plaster of Paris and the molds used to make the rock facings.
You'd be surprised how much, with being in a hobby that requires so much conversion, having bits and laying around, people would be very surprised at how little they actually need to go out and buy to
Yeah.
create a display board.
Well, a lot of people think that playing a game like 40K, which is sold by GW, is a very expensive game, that everything has to be expensive, not realizing there's a lot of alternatives out there. If you don't want to spend $5.60 on a pot of GW paint, go get Vallejo. It's half the price, you get almost twice the amount of paint. Well, maybe not twice, but you get more paint for less price. You just gotta look outside the realms of Citadel and Games Workshop.
And
There's
don't
lots
just
of
go
options.
don't just go jump to buy. The biggest thing is a lot of people is impulse buying. It's like, oh, I see that, it's gonna be great.
We've all been guilty.
We've all
of
been
that.
guilty of it,
Yeah.
absolutely. But like, as you stay into the hobby a lot longer, you start to learn that there is the YouTubes.
How so?
Well, I mean, if there's something you want to do or something you see that you kind of like, don't rush to, GW or
just buy it right
or,
away. Shop
or
around.
just
Ask around.
or just go to even hobby stuff. Don't rush to Michael's. Don't rush to Artist Emporium. Don't rush to like any place.
Yep.
Look around for, Google it, YouTube it, see what other people use as, maybe they'll show you a tutorial on how to do it easier. Like there's tutorials. I know you were talking about looking at how to do marble.
Yep.
And there's some really neat tutorials out there on how to do it really effectively
Three
and
different
cost
ways.
efficiently.
They all look great.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh yeah, you need to get this stuff. This is probably the most expensive thing. It's like, okay, where can I get this? It's like, okay, I can get it at Michael's or Emporium, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well this place is cheaper all the time, but if I wait for that 80% off coupon at Michael's, well, and it's cheaper at Michael's, I'll wait and attack it at that point in time to to make your dollar go further,
Or
right?
find another way to do it. You want to do marble? Use airbrush and cotton balls.
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot. If you have the airbrush and the tools, it's much cheaper. If you don't, well, who's to say?
Planky304 asks, with model basing, what's your take on the pre-made Games Workshop bases that are then painted?
You want to take this one first? Or here, I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's spent a lot of time talking
Okay,
about
so they're
Yeah.
so they are great bases.
Okay.
They're textured, they have detail. They allow you to basically spray them, add a few layers of dry brush, a wash, and you can pretty much say you're done. Now what I don't
look
like,
good.
and they look good. There's no doubt about it. You are definitely paying the extra money
Oh yeah.
to
Big time.
avoid having to do that work yourself. I personally would never buy them. I find them too uniform.
Yep.
That's my biggest thing. I
Too
would
cookie cutter,
yeah.
too much the same as what other people are doing.
Yeah.
It's like
And
you
that
build
too.
the basis to give your army a unique identity. Well,
Yeah.
that's not unique. That's just
And
GW's
then when you look to
identity.
do a display board, how do you replicate that, right? It's not something you have.
Well, you can replicate it, but again, it's still going to cost you
It's
because
gonna-
now you got to start looking at buying Realm of Battle boards.
Sure, okay,
as
if
your
you want to,
display
if you
board.
want to go that route.
But now you're
So-
spending $180 on one instead of 15 or 20.
Do I like them? Absolutely. I think they are a great, for a first army, a nice way to introduce yourself into
Or kill
basing
team.
or
Kill team would be a good place to
because
do
it's
that.
like 5 or 6 models. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's actually a good point. But for an army, where I'm at in the game, I personally do not like them at all. They're just too expensive. They're not. The customization on them is too limited, and
But there are ways to cut that cost down.
Yeah.
You can do an entire army for $10 with those bases. I guarantee you. And that's what I did for my Necron army. I made a mold of 4 or 5 different styles of base, and I replicated that mold on every single base. And I just like cookie cutter stamped the green stuff onto the top of the base.
then you're getting a lot of replication of.
Well, you can make as many as you want. If GW has 5 different styles of those industrial bases, you just make a mold of each one of them. So whether you buy them or you're stamping them, you're still getting the same variety.
Wait. No, I meant for the rubric. Oh, hang on.
Oh yeah, that's the question I was actually going to ask right now is, do you lose or gain points?
No,
for
you
using
gain
the
points.
remake
You
Games
be
Workshop
getting
bases?
points. They
If-
look great.
If you
painted them well, you
if
get
you've
points.
if you've sprayed them black, dry brushed them with a couple layers of grays, then you wash them with a brown or something. Then
Put some
and
water
hit-
effects in there to add some extra layers.
You can do a lot with
Like,
them.
water
don't
effects
get
are
me
incredible.
you will not lose points for taking a pre-made base versus making a base yourself.
It's no different than taking
It's-
a pre-made sculpt versus sculpting a model
Yeah,
yourself.
it's
Like we
all-
buy GW
it's
models.
all
we're not
about
building them
how-
ourselves.
how it looks, how aesthetically pleasing it is to the eye.
Okay.
Right? So it doesn't, that doesn't matter. Absolutely not. Sorry, I misread that question. My bad, man.
Yeah, we kind of went on a tangent there,
Yeah.
but we're on the same page.
So
'cause-
No, absolutely. You will not lose points for purchasing a pre-made base. It's no different than, there's a lot of, there's a lot of other companies out there that specifically sell
Oh, yeah.
pre-made bases. If
I
you
bought a
buy those
couple,
bases, like
mix them in there sometimes.
Thurston's entire army is a custom base that I don't even think is on the market anymore, but he has bought so many
Yeah, I
from
think
the
it was
guy.
an
The
older
guy
secret
actually
weapon
still,
one.
still makes them for him, and he doesn't lose points because they're all already pre-made base. Like,
Nope.
no,
not
not
at
at
all.
all.
That's fair.
Jinx, you owe me a
absolutely
Coke.
All right.
Damn it!
Speaking of points, the power
Zinger.
rubric, I really do want to dig
Yeah.
into this. I don't want you to. I know you're a commission painter, Scott.
Sure.
I don't want you to cannibalize your business or give in too many of your secrets away.
He's not that good. Let's be honest.
I've
Hey,
got
Penn
a
and
lot.
Teller
I mean,
didn't.
not
Penn and Teller became famous, so
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can let a
So-
couple slip.
give us a couple of things. Like what are some of your favorite things that you've been able to do? What are some of your favorite things that you've been able to see or would like to see on the Tables of PAL?
Well-
how do people get like that super high end? How do people earn
Right,
the
that was
bonus
the
points in
original question.
in the rubric?
You gotta have something that stands apart from the rest, something that like captures someone's attention.
Okay.
You might not win best painted, but at least you get the coolest army vote, things like that.
Yeah.
Things like adding LEDs.
Okay.
That's something I did years ago, and while I didn't have the best painted army in the event, I still got player's choice. And that was out in Minneapolis at Darkstar. that one
Darkstar,
year.
yeah, I remember
I mean,
that.
I'm a guy that hasn't played the game in 10 years. I didn't know a single person go to Minneapolis, a city 8 hours away, and I walked away with Player's Choice Award. Why?
Right.
Because I had a decent painted army, but there's something new in there, LEDs. Boom. And that was like the curb appeal. That's what got people to walk over and look at that versus the other two beside it. I also used a lot of effects in that army that, like object source lighting. It was very uncommon back then because airbrushes were still
Airbrushes
uncommon
were
back
still
then.
uncommon, yeah,
And now that airbrush are more common, I'd like to see more object source lighting because without an airbrush, yes, it can be very difficult to do. And if I see someone painting object source lighting by hand, you are going to get bonus point if I'm the judge. That said, I know there's lots of airbrushes out there, so I want to see more object source lighting because when you have that airbrush, you have no excuse not to at least try it because it's so easy to do.
Things like nice color contrasts. Like the biggest one, like a big one for me is like if I see, like for example, NIDs always do like there's like the lime greens and the purples together and stuff like that. If it's done right, I think those look so great. People are like, oh, but it doesn't look realistic. It's like nothing about this game's realistic.
Yeah.
So let's take that right off the table.
Exactly.
But like when you talk about curb appeal, big models, even
a
if
mixture of
even
sizes.
if you're but
That's
even if you
what-
have models on your display board that aren't necessarily part of your army, but they add maybe more something kind of thematic. If you're making a scene, like if you even use
like a Space Marine diorama that has a crashed Storm Wraith in the middle, that might not
Yeah.
be a part of your army, but that's the diorama is them Black Hawk down kind of
so
thing.
you have your display board that pulls people in. You have a big centerpiece like that draws people in. You know, your colors really are popping. I think I like vibrant colors. Like all my Necrons are rusty and they're dull colors, but they're object source lighting. Every squad is different colors and they're vibrant.
Yep.
It's just you need something to pull that eye in. If it's all grays and browns and like I guess like you get it like the camo
drab and the camo,
and that
but
kind of look, but
this is fantasy after all.
yeah, you need something
need
to draw people
exactly,
in. You
and
need that wow factor.
I keep going back to the color wheel on this, and the color wheel is something a lot of artists will learn in color theory. It's I don't know if you can try googling it quickly. The color wheel is the answer to whenever you ask yourself the question, what color should I paint this? If you have a blue ultramarine and you want to make his plasma gun glow, and you're like, what color should I make it glow? Well, if you look at this color wheel that Josh is going to bring up in a moment, it'll tell you, here's the right answer, here's are two good answers, and here are all the bad answers. And you can take any color, any situation like that, if you're trying to find the contrast or the popping, it'll tell you what to do. If you want to find out the highlight, how do I highlight the color red? It'll tell you what to do. If you know how to use this wheel.
Which can also be YouTubed.
It can also be YouTube. I mean, I didn't go to school for this or anything. I'm no professional. I've just had people say, hey, Scott, check out the color wheel. This will help you. Yeah. And in a lot of cases, it has. A lot of people, when you start highlighting colors, you're going to highlight up to whites. Just get brighter and brighter and brighter. Well, if you looked at an apple, it's not going to be highlighted pink. You're not going to see pink reflections coming off. It's going to like kind of pop orange, right? It's not going to go pink because pink would be red plus white.
So we've got the color wheel up on the screen now.
Oh,
How do
there we
people
go.
use this?
All right, so I just use that example.
Are you flipping to it on our main screen? Or
Well,
you...
this is like a delay on ours. But, okay, so we were just talking about a blue Space Marine, gun Ultramarine, and you want to have his gun glowing something. So if you look at the blue, and you can kind of follow the web inside, a direct contrast to blue would be orange. Right across right across there. So if you want the most contrasting, like that's going to be the most popping colors you're going to get, do it with orange. Likewise, if you go to the cardinal left or cardinal right, you see yellow, or sorry, green, and yeah, like kind of, well,
plus or minus?
not purple, sorry, no, you got red and you got green. Sorry, I didn't mean to the immediate left, I mean kind of to the cardinal. Like if you created an X out of it, orange would have been at the top, and then green and red would have been at the sides. So those two would also work, and they would give you a nice tone. If you highlighted purple, it's gonna look bad.
Well, hang on. If you
you
went with
highlighted-
the blue violet,
yeah, if you highlight violet, it's probably not going to look that good because it
that
doesn't
blue green,
contrast. You're not going to see that difference. Same if you go with the green or like darker greens or the blue green, you're not going to get that kind of contrast you're going for. That being said, you now have your blue Space Marine. You got orange glowing plasma guns. You want to say, which color should I shade it other than just darker blue? Well, try shading it violet.
Because it's fairly close in the color.
Yes,
right?
and it does look deeper. Like for instance, whenever I paint a red cloak, I'm not going from black to red to white. I'm going from purple to red to orange.
Okay.
That's the path here. You look at the color wheel: purple, red, orange, and that color. And that's just a very like straightforward, eeny, meeny, miny, mo kind of approach. You will see people doing some crazy stuff where they go from like purple to green to yellow, and they'll make it look amazing. That's the kind of stuff I want to see.
Okay.
It comes out, but that's the kind of stuff I want to see when people take that color wheel and they really play with it to come up with these weird combinations that just pop out.
Nice.
Or you get like Tyranid skin tones, and sure they might go orange, yellow, then green, but they might put in dark blue stripes or like tiger stripes or something like that. Like that extra layer of detail on top of it. That's the cool stuff.
It makes a ton of sense.
But that color wheel is how you make it work. That answers your questions for you.
Yes.
Effectively, if you know how to use it.
So, we've talked about speed painting. We've talked about some of the high-end tips. We've talked about your tools and maintenance. We've talked about the power rubric.
Oh boy, we talked a lot.
Remember, we're coming to the end of the show. So, reminder to the chat: if you've got any questions about painting for Planes of War or about Planes of War itself, we are the admins of 40 Below Gaming. Ask them in the chat. We'll be sure to answer them. While you guys ask those questions in the chat, I get to toss a question at you guys that I know I'm always curious about.
Oh boy, here we go.
And we talked about this in some instances before. But I am somebody who has no time in their life whatsoever. So often what I'll do is I'll send a lot of like my hero models out to be commissioned. Right?
Yep.
And then sometimes I come back and, what if I get a painting award? I didn't paint this model. I don't know if I should be awarded the painting award for work I didn't do. Like, what's your take on that? What happens at the events?
You summed this one up real nicely. I like the way you put it.
Okay, that was not expected.
I can. Okay, if you don't remember how you put it originally, I can regurgitate how I remember. But okay, so Fabio and I have talked about this many times over the years, and one day he really put into perspective for me when we were talking about saying, if you spend 40 hours painting your army and you earn an award, great. If you spent 80 hours making money, enough money to pay someone to do it, you still put in the effort just in a different way. And then why should that be any less?
It's no different than the guy that wants to brush base coat versus the guy that wants to airbrush base coat.
Yeah.
Is one doing... should the guy that's using a brush for the whole army
Versus
be
the guy doing
getting
an
more
airbrush.
points and praised more because he didn't take an easier approach? You know what I mean? Like it's no different than, it's like, oh, I only have, like you said, I only have 6 hours in my week to enjoy this hobby. If I spend all those times every week, if all 6 hours of my week painting, I don't get to enjoy what I want to enjoy, which is the playing aspect.
So we don't want to penalize people.
So you don't want to penalize people.
The army is still gorgeous, and in the end, the way I see it is the player isn't winning the award, the army is winning the award. And this actually came up recently when I did a commission for Benjamin Gerling. He had me do some night times for him. He went to Regina and won Best Painted. And then he comes back to me saying, Scott, this is your army. I kind of feel weird about this because you painted it, but I won the award. So he wanted to give me the gift certificates he won for it. I said, no, I appreciate the effort, but no. But that's where the conversation would be between yourself and a commissioned painter, not necessarily between us as admins. And
like if you want to credit them in some way,
mention their name,
mention their company.
They would
whatever.
love the exposure.
That's totally fine. But like I appreciate some people are like, well, I put the effort in, I should be getting more than the other guy. It's like, well, I mean, I know there is an argument to be had. No, one way or the other isn't right or wrong. I guess just we've kind of come to the conclusion that
we can't track it.
We can't track it. And to be the police in that scenario is just like, it's like, why?
There have been Golden Demon names removed from the wall when they found out that wasn't him who painted it, but that's Golden Demon. Their whole thing is painting.
Yeah.
So would you say from a TO perspective then, it's about sort of the experience you're providing the opponent?
That is
You
also
took the
part of it,
time
yeah.
and effort, whether it is the effort actually painting or the effort earning the cash to have it
actually pay,
painted,
yeah.
to provide a beautifully painted army for your opponent to play against, to
And
show
for-
off at this event. Like,
Exactly.
that's
And
what you're
honestly,
looking at?
yes.
Exactly.
And honestly, people that get commission get their armies commission painted, generally do the tabletop standard, not the
award-winning.
award-winning.
Yeah.
So
They're
they're
not
usually not
awards.
winning awards.
Okay.
And if, to get that level, like, you're dropping thousands of dollars.
$1,000.
typically. Or
And-
you're just coming to a meta where people just don't paint.
Yeah,
Which
that's right.
could be a
it's
thing
just
too.
not.
And ours is a meta where people paint.
Exactly.
Yes,
So that's
exactly.
why it's never really come up too often.
It's-
We've seen some commission painted scores come high, but
Yeah.
not ever first place.
No,
That's
because
right.
they usually aren't converted. You know what I mean? There's usually a lot of aspects that actually
Getting
commission
commission
painting,
painters to do conversions,
that's huge money.
Yep.
Huge.
it adds on exponentially.
So there's a lot of stuff that those commission armies, there's check boxes they just do not hit,
That's fair.
and you don't need to know that they're commission painted to not check those boxes. It's just they don't have them because that is not
paid
that
for
is not what paid tabletop quality is. So it's just
Alright.
you never have that issue.
So, that has been Preparing for War Part 2, Painting a Winner. This episode is going to be saved on our Twitch for 2 weeks. It's going to be exported to our YouTube at youtube.com/40belowgaming right away for you to review as you get ready for Plains of War, which is June 1st and 2nd.
Countdown
We
begins.
are excited. This is the end of the show. This is where we usually plug our sponsors. So I'm going to start with perhaps the most appropriate sponsor, Seventh Forge Studios. This is Matt from Edmonton. You've seen
Matt
him come out to
Posey.
our
Yes,
last
Matt
Plains
Posey.
of
He
War.
will be here this year
He
again.
won Best
Nice.
Painted for his Night Lords. He will be there again this year. Seventh Forge Studios.
Challenge accepted.
Go to him for your commission needs. He does fantastic work. Fabio's been on their podcast, Favorite of Chaos. So, Scott, take us down the right side of the sponsor
The right
list.
side of the
After
sponsor list.
Seventh Forge Studios.
Oh boy. So next up we got Battle Foam. Anyone who's been playing this game or even hung out with us, you know what Battle Foam is. These guys put out some of the best army transport cases you can get. The foam you can put inside these cases, it's laser cut to spec. You can custom make your own. You can even get plucked foam and just rip out little foam things yourself and use that. And a quick plug to our painting section. We kept talking about stipple painting effects, stippling for damage and such. That's what I use my Battle Foam plucks for.
I keep it all in the bag and I use it as I go.
So this is like
Nice.
a double
It's a
whammy
twofer.
gift.
A
It's
twofer.
You got
An
a
extra
twofer.
tip, even in the sponsor
So
section.
you got a great case, you got amazing foam stored in, and you got tools to help your painting for stippling effects. Oh yeah, I gotta take us through the rest of them. That's right.
Yeah.
Best Coast Pairings. These guys, they've put out the app that runs everything. This is the app that players sign into and the TOs manage all their tournaments from. So big thank you to them for jumping on board. I believe, what are they doing for us?
So
this year?
they've got a bunch of swag and stuff that I actually have at my office that I
Nice.
received. So they've got some stuff. So actually I use one of their little
Show that to the camera.
I don't know.
Is that a phone case? Like
It's just a
car
phone
mount?
like thing you can grab to so you're not worried about.
yeah.
I don't know what they're called, but it's a bunch of those.
handle.
Yeah,
kinda.
handle. We got a bunch of those that are going to be thrown out.
Nice.
There's a bunch of like QR codes for stuff. There's just a bunch of little things they've thrown at us. They also, the biggest thing I wanted to put them on there is just because whenever we have issues, it's
Those
like,
guys are on the ball.
you were literally sending them Facebook messages, and within minutes you were getting responses. They are like, it's like on weekends they are just
That's
there.
their job.
That is their
Yep.
job.
That's
Weekends.
it's got to be there Monday to Friday, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Because no one's
pretty
running a
much.
Warhammer tournament on Tuesday.
It's
Um,
crazy, but no, they just do such an excellent job, and their app is constantly evolving. Their website's becoming more user friendly and accessible. So like it's just overall, it's just, and it's not even just for the ITC. It's just if you want to
They're
run
branching
an
out a
event,
lot now.
You can do that on their app without having. You don't need to be a part of the ITC. You don't need to be submitting
Okay.
ITC points.
Yeah,
You
this
can-
is separate from
you
the
can,
ITC.
there's kill team events on there now.
Nice.
There's
X-Wing.
there's X-Wing. There's Magic.
Sigmar.
There's Sigmar. There's
Yeah.
anything like War Machine. Anything that can run an organized event. You can probably do it on their app.
All right.
Homer,
anyway.
Battlefield, protecting your army. Yes.
Yes.
Next
Come
up,
on, man.
CM Engrave. If you guys have won any of the plaques from our events, any of our medals, that's coming from CM Engrave.
Snipe the trophy, maybe
Yep.
held that bad boy up yet.
I showed
Oh, did I
Thurston
point the
this
wrong way?
particular
Oh, there it is, on
shield
this
when
side.
he was here the
Oh,
other week. He
yes.
was excited.
Oh, it's got his name on there.
Finally got his
proper?
name for
Okay.
last year. I
Yes,
assume
yes,
it's
for last year
No,
we had a
last
little
year's
mix-up.
is on there. Actually, they actually printed me 2 of 20,
Oh,
2018. So that's what was funny.
Well, at least they support their product because we keep getting new ones. Eventually, we'll get the right one.
Incredible service.
So yeah, if you guys ever got a plaque from us or you've seen the plaques, I'm sure many of you have seen them at the trophy tables, the admin tables. That comes from CM Engrave. So if you got an event coming up where you need some really nice plaques made up, you give him a call. He'll get you a good price.
And their turnaround time is
Incredible.
excellent.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Next up, I want that stuff. These guys are out in Brandon. They're tearing up the tabletop scene out there.
Brandon, am I right, Homer?
Yeah, Homer. I mean, no, these guys are great. If you guys want to go out there, get some games in, they got a whole bunch of tables, some really nice terrain, and it's one of the few places where you can actually order a beer to your 40K gaming table. So if you're over out in Brandon, I want that stuff. Give them a quick heads up. Go check them out. Whatever. I'm already fumbling on my words. Which takes us finally to the last sponsor on the right column, AYB Online. These guys have been doing esports in Manitoba for a long time. A long time. Baselands, their title event where a bunch of gamers bring their computers, their consoles all into one room, compete for some big prizes. So if you're into that esports kind of community, check it out, aybonline.com.
They're also kind enough to sponsor some of the streaming gear that we use
Oh,
to
yeah.
this particular show.
Oh yeah, some of this stuff here is actually AYB's.
Yep. I took the top item off on the right column. I get to take the top item off on the left column before I hand it over to Fabio. Game Night Games and Cool Stuff is our presenting sponsor for 2019. They are incredible. They have one of the largest gaming spaces in the city. They have terrain that you can show up and use for both Warhammer and Fantasy and
Infinity and Kill Team.
and Worm Hordes, absolutely everything. We've got our Kill Team League Echoes of Eternity that's being run largely at Game Night with the Association of Game Night Games and Cool Stuff. Month 3 of Echoes of Eternity is starting May 15th, so if you haven't gotten your game in, get it in soon. Get it in at Game Night Games and Cool Stuff. They are fantastic. Fabio, take us down the rest of the left-hand
Oh, wait,
side.
you forgot. This weekend is the 40K Bunker Buster. So Saturday.
At
it
Game
is
Night Games and Cool Stuff.
It is at Game Night Games and Cool Stuff. It is sold out. Waitlist is active. So yeah, if anybody can't show up, please let us know before the
Friday
day of.
night
You
at
know what I mean?
midnight.
So we can allow the people that are on the waitlist to jump in. It's important. Last one we had a few people drop for whatever reasons, and it's fine. Stuff happens, but there's a waitlist, so let's try and be
respectful for the
everyone.
people on
Yeah.
the wait list.
But yeah, anyway, so Frontline Gaming, they are the ones that were kind of leading the charge when Games Workshop was not responding to questions regarding rules, loopholes, and whatnot for a long time.
6th edition, 7th edition.
And yeah, so now they've kind of they've been giving feedback to Games Workshop. You know, they've been a huge part of the community in terms of revitalizing it. And yeah, they're a big part of the ITC. They started the ITC, and it's kind of become a worldwide kind of.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger
Keeps
every
getting
year.
bigger. It's just a really cool thing. So, Frontline Gaming is a huge supporter and a big reason why I personally started wanting to run events. I got to experience it, and they're just a great group of guys. They love the hobby. They love everything that it encompasses. So yeah, just a great group. So thanks to them for everything they do for us, and not only us, but just the gaming community as a whole. Northern Lights Terrain, we've touched on them a lot. Byron, he is another local guy doing MDF terrain, tokens. Basically, if you need something to speed up your, army's playability or movement trays or dice trays or whatever, he can make it. It is incredible, some of the stuff he's pumping out. He's got some new stuff that just came out, some for Infinity, I think it's like Chinese.
Oh, he's always got new stuff coming out. I can't keep up
I
half
know.
the time.
It's really cool. So,
Jeez,
but those
guys.
just came out, I think, this week or last week, late last week or something. So those are the newest stuff. Manitoba Model Soldier Society. We have already talked about them as well. They are big into the painting, a lot more historics, and they do a lot of painting judging in the city for primarily single miniature events. But they are going to be coming out to not only Plains of War, but Twin Eagles, and they're going to help us do a lot of the paint judging. So taking a weight off our shoulders and just hopefully giving everyone a nice experience in the painting department. And last but not least, and we've also touched on them, the Holiday Inn Airport Polo Park. That is where we will be for Plains of War June 1st and 2nd. Rooms are still available, obviously, in the block at a 30% discount.
That's an incredible
Producer
discount.
Josh, what is the Plains
discount
of War
code is Plains of War.
Oh, crazy.
Literally the name of the event.
Name of the event, no spaces. So if you're
30% off.
if you're planning on
Holy.
coming down, you get 30% off your rooms.
Yep.
Yeah, big space.
Tempting,
You know, the food's great at their little bar there. You can everything's licensed,
Fully licensed.
so you can
There we
grab booze. You can.
That's very important. Very, very important.
So it's all good. Yeah. So a lot of great stuff. You know, we don't have a lot of big sponsors in terms of giving us big ticket items, but our sponsors have a lot of them have provided us with a lot of in-kind ways to help our community enjoy the hobby experience.
I think we're still pushing a couple.
we're doing. We
We're
got a few
pretty
really
good.
good ones.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
absolutely. But like a lot of these are a lot of in kinds. Like you won't.
Heard rumors that Keeper's Secrets might show up. Who knows?
Who knows?
She's very secretive.
No, it's a good group. We've been working with the same group of sponsors for a little while now, and it's been nothing but good things. We've got a good working relationship, and we just want to kind of see that grow, and hopefully we can do that. So, yeah,
Nice.
thanks to everyone.
Yep. All
Keep up
right.
the good work.
Thanks to everyone.
This has been Dusty Auspex, Season 6, Episode 6. On May 6th, you're probably already a child of Shlanesh. The Keeper of Secrets has probably already taken you. That's fine, we love you anyway. We will see you at Plains of War. If you're not rolling ones or cheating, Fabio, do the thing with your pen.
Wait, I thought we'll see you at Bunker Busters.
We'll see you at the
again.
Bunker Buster this Saturday, and then at Plains of War, June 1st and 2nd. Fabio, do the thing with the pen.
I think this is the thing with the pen.
That's the thing with the pen. If you're not
And
rolling
our
ones
audio
or
levels are
cheating,
off.
we're